Yeah, 3 done. I got a problem. So, well, I've just adapted one of the models to be able to do moon phase and orientation predictions from multiple different locations and all that kind of stuff. But the issue that I've got, oh, and that's not where the moon is. We've moved on. Oh dear, wait a minute, let's move that back. And then let's say, yes, you are absolutely parented to you. That's better. That's the moon. Yes. Yeah, so I've got a problem. And the problem is quite simply. So I've got my observer on the surface here, which is exactly what I've already messaged Professor Nixie, but he's not got back to me yet. So we're like in Uruguay at the moment. I'm looking at the moon. But the thing is, the textures that I've got for this beautiful big space rock satellite thing, I don't know what bastard orientation it is in relation to either our ecliptic to the sun or the 5-degree orbital tangent that the moon sits on. So it's like, okay, so if this XY here is our orbital plane around the sun, then what fucking angle is the Sea of Tranquility at? Like, really? Shouldn't this be easy to find? Really should, but it's not. I can tell where, well, I can see what it looks like from where I am given a certain day, but I'd have to, well, actually, no, I can't because it's just cloudy as shit, so I won't be able to see anything, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, the problem with that debunker is I'd need an elevation and a direction, and I'd need to know the partial cycle of that lunar night. So if someone could say to me, "Oh, you know, the lunar, the highest lunar point, so the maximum point in your sky, it's this orientation in this location," yes, that would help. But you can't find that information. I've tried using Stellarium. What a piece of shit. So, well, I say it's a piece of shit. It doesn't give me the information I want. It'll do a prediction, but how the fuck? Maybe I just don't know how to use Stellarium, to be fair. Because you can't exactly say, oh, in Stellarium, here's my location. Now give me the highest lunar point in the night sky on this day. Yeah, whether it exists or not, I've got to match the Sea of Tranquility up and this huge blast point here, whatever that is. I'm sure that's called something. Is it Aristarchus crater or something? God knows. Oh, look, the ass end of the moon. There we go. It's a side we never see. So yeah, I'm needing someone to come in and say, hey, well, this is the orientation on the XY orbital sun plane. Or, yeah, that's what I need. But unfortunately, because what I want to do is I want to do a video on TikTok of this, basically. So if I've got my, this is my moon observer on the planet in this little, same as my sun system. But like in Uruguay, which is where we are now, compared to, let's say, the continental United States at that very same time, oops, we're in it. If we come back over, that's the orientation difference. So that's the United States, that's Uruguay, United States, Uruguay, at the same point in the night sky. Except I want this to be accurate, so I just need the fucking orientation of the goddamn moon in relation to the solar orbit, solar plane, or even to its own plane. I don't give a shit. But no, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm lazy. Maybe it's because I'm tired, but I just can't find the fucking information. And it's a bit pissing me off, so I'm hoping that Nixie comes in and says, hey, this is it. If you're, you know, if you're looking at the sun, if you're looking at the moon at this point, this is how you match up the details and stuff. Because then this will be another flat Earth killer, really, is the orientation of the moon. because if I can just demonstrate that real world observations match a CG model that happens to be a sphere with a very distant moon, and all orientations match, yep, that's another. Not that there needs to be any more, but it's just another thing for flat earthers to go, we don't know what the moon is, which would be cool. So if anybody out there has got information relating to the orientation of something like the Sea of Tranquility and its orientation on the face of the moon in relationship to either the solar orbital plane or the moon's ecliptic, which is just a 5-degree offset. Scary, you do? Holy shit. Do you? Really? Get the cup here.
Imagine living on a spinning ball. Water sticking to it. I can't, man.
Oh my God. You don't know how to align this up, do you? God damn it.
Dude, I'm just a troll, man.
I know. I could just randomly say, hey, that's it. But it isn't. And I don't want to do that. Where's Nixie when I need him? So yes, anybody who's not a troll with information on the orientation of the moon in relation to the solar orbital plane, that would be good. That would be really good. Please help.
Stingray, you should know me by now.
You're not on antibiotics again, are you?
I'm good today.
All right, nice.
I'm fine.
Good, good.
It's almost 10. I need to sleep because I have to work tomorrow, but all good.
Wait, what? It's Sunday. It's Sunday tomorrow.
I work in the hospital.
Oh, right, yeah, no time off. Yeah, fair point. No, that's good. You better go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I just wanted to troll you, man.
Yes, I thank you very much for trolling me. Did you?
Good one, Stingray.
See you later. Bye bye. Yes, anybody with information on the moon, even a flat earther could tell me the fucking the moon thing. That would be awesome. I would very much like it. It would really. Oh, wait a minute. Ah, you did something with Nixie. Oh my God, Nixie. Right, okay. Fuck it. I will get my goddamn answers.
All right. I sent you an article, I think, explaining what you were asking me, but
yeah. So wait a minute. Oh, did you send me on messages? Oh, right. I haven't had a look. Shit. Yeah. Well. So the issue is this, Nixie. I've got a texture. This texture wraps around the entire, moon. At the moment, this indicates the. Does this indicate? Wait a minute. Let's have a look. This is the orbit of the moon. Yes, it is, because it's. You said it's 9 degrees to the equatorial plane, but is it? How is it?
It's 9 degrees to the Sun-Earth orbit. So the Earth's plane is the equatorial. Yep. And the moon is 9 degrees to that.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. No, that I can do. So, right. So my question now is in relation to that orbit of 9 degrees, which I think I've got here in all fairness, because you can see that the moon is like that angle in relation to the offset of the equatorial plane of the Earth. But the problem I've got is this texture. What I want to know is what's the orientation of the moon's features so that I can line it up on the offset of that plane so that when I do a prediction, it matches horizon to horizon feature orientation to end orientation. And I can't find any information about that.
And that's because it wobbles. So, welcome to So, if you turn the moon down just a little, turn it down, So, okay, there's the Sea of Serenity. So here's the thing is I can get you a full moon picture. You're going to always see just about the same 50%.
Mm-hmm.
But as it wanes and waxes, because it's an elliptical orbit, not a circular orbit, that face changes just a little bit, the orientation.
But when you're talking about orientation, you're on about this orientation because obviously we see precession of the moon through our nighttime because of the Earth's rotation and latitude. So it's not going to be too bad, is it, for me to do predictions?
Rotation. Well, you see 59% of the moon through a lunar month.
Yeah. So what I'm on about is this is a singular day, right? So this is Central United States. A singular night. So this is what the moon is doing on a singular night. Is that right?
Well, I'm looking. Yes.
Yeah. So what I need, I've tried looking for this. All I want is someone took a photo in this direction of the moon. It was this elevation, and this is the photo, so that I can orientate this to that moment in time, which then orientates the moon and features to what that person saw, so that then that should match everything. Then, right?
It'll match for that day. It'll be close on other days, but it won't be exact because you don't have an elliptical orbit.
I could give it an elliptical orbit, to be fair.
To be fair, if you did that, you would probably match spot on. What you do is download an app called Sky Safari. It's free.
Okay.
You can get it on iOS.
Sorry, that's funny. Fine, okay, whatever. I was thinking about this earlier, and I thought to myself, what is my strongest argument for iOS as a developer? And it's just tight hardware integration and the fact that I've got access to laser focus for the camera. I've got LiDAR distance. I've got all these wonderful things. And that's because of the Apple hardware engineered ecosystem. But anyway, I digress. So what's it called again? Sky Safari. Yeah, Safari. Oh, you didn't get. Wait a minute. You didn't get me in your your comments. You were showing something. Oh my God, what were you showing? And I got jumped on by your your peeps on one of your lives. You were showing. Oh, it was only joking, Lynn. It didn't bother me, okay. but it was like you were showing something. And I can't remember what it was now. And I said in the comments, it looks like. It looks like using a substandard hardware extraction layer through a driver that's obviously on Windows because this looks terrible. and then obviously I thought, he might read it, he might not. But then everybody started jumping on me. I shouldn't criticize it when you go to such effort. I'm there like, oh my God, I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, they're pretty protective of me in my lives. It's not a debate live, but what I'll do is next time you're in here with all my moderators in my live, I will tell people to follow you and that you're a good friend that gives me shit, and they'll all laugh with you then.
Yeah. Because I can't remember what it was, but one lady said, yes, you should appreciate this and not nitpick. And I'm there like, oh no, she completely missed it. One of the people said, no, it's all right. They do this to each other.
Yeah.
All right. So wait a minute. I've got this Sky Safari Eclipse and Astronomy app then.
Right. And it's going to ask you for your location. And then you put in whatever date and time from anywhere in the world you want. And whatever time, and it'll show you where the moon is and the orientation of the moon.
And what? So what do you? We have we have solar noon, which is independent to any time period. It's just the highest point of the sun in the sky from any given location. What's that in relation to the moon? Is it just lunar noon? What's is there a way to reference it?
No, right. Not that I'm aware of. We do everything based off solar position.
So how would you, because you and Hasselblad did an experiment, didn't you? And you on the moon to triangulate it. But let's say you had to give another person, how would you tell them, take the photograph when the the moon is at the highest that it is in your sky, what would be the mechanisms by which you both would do that?
We take the photograph at the exact same time, so it's not going to be both at our zenith.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We would be and what you want to do is take the picture the moon when it's at the meridian would be the astronomy term for that.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's cool.
So we divide the sky in half down the north celestial pole to the south celestial pole, and we call that your meridian. And everyone's meridian is different.
Mm-hmm. I've got this app now. Jesus. As a software developer, don't you find yourself more critical of everybody else's fucking software development apps and stuff? It's like, oh,
most definitely.
Jesus.
I've been using Space Engine, and I'm like, why did you do it like this? This is so frustrating.
I know.
I want to show something really simple.
Yeah, me and Three Dom Skulls were having a chat today, and it's like the bamboo software slicer for the 3D printer. It's like, this is so ridiculous, and I'm there like, and I think I've rung him just to bitch because I've got 2 printers set up now, and when I swap printers, it keeps the old filaments. It doesn't read the filaments from the new printer once I've swapped to it, so I can't actually choose a filament because they're both multicolor. I can't choose a filament from the new printer. It's like, oh, you software developers are such assholes. And then I sit there and think, oh shit, I am one. That's bad. There should be some team thing here. Right, so I've got this. And this app is so complicated, to be fair, for Jesus.
Yeah, but what it's going to be able to give you is based off whatever you want to baseline, and you're going to want to choose a full moon, so you can choose 3 days ago, choose your location or wherever you've got on your model, and say,
match it up.
Time.
Yeah,
and that will give it to you.
No, that's good. That is good. So, wait a minute, you can't say full moon. I've just got to choose 3 days ago or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit shit. Yeah, you see, I'd just add something to choose moon phases into this fucking thing. Jesus. 3 days ago, which would be, what are we in now? March. Oh, 27th. Right, 27th. Oh, this is a nice graph, though, when you're choosing the date, isn't it? When it shows you the... Oh, wow. Okay. No, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, and you'll be able to then see the phase of the orientation of the moon from your location to build your model.
Wait a minute, I modded Stingray. I'm sorry, you modded someone that platforms Nathan. I have to unfollow. Okay, fair enough. I don't know who that is, but as a Yorkshireman and a Brit, I care not for other people's opinions.
All right. Scary is asking to come up. I think that's going to get you what you need. If it's not, I got to help my daughter. We're making baklava.
I've got no idea what that is.
It is calorie goodness. It is Greek phyllo dough with walnuts, brown sugar, honey sauce. Okay. It is divine.
Oh, wow. I made, just before you go, I made, do you have TGI Fridays over there?
Yes.
Have you seen their Jack Daniel's sauce?
No.
Oh, you need to try it, but get a recipe for it. But I replaced the Jack Daniel's bourbon with Macallan whiskey, and oh my God, I ate the whole thing, like the whole tub of it, dipping chips and steak and everything in it. But the daft thing is, I sat there at the end of it and thought, hang about, I've just eaten all the sauce that I made, and I'm pretty sure that when I was making it, some of the ingredients was like 1 cup of brown sugar. It's like, this is not going to go well for me tomorrow.
All right, so this is baklava.
Oh, wait a minute.
This is
coconut,
brown sugar, walnuts, spice, and then you put it in phyllo dough that is buttered in between. Bake it, and then you put a honey sauce into it, and then you cut it into squares.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It is truly decadent.
Yeah, that's bad. That's very bad.
So I got to drop down because we're going to finish making baklava. So take care.
All right, see you later.
Enjoy your baklava, Nixie. It looks awesome. The thing is, Stingray, you still have some people that are mods that accept child grooming and stuff.
Wait a minute. My mods accept child grooming. What?
Yeah, like Shape Commander is okay with people going up to them and groom childs.
Shape Commander.
Yes, and you took away the mod status from German. She DM'd me.
Oh, well, I ditched every mod that I had to try and... Because no mod could control guests, even though everybody... Well, like 50% of them had guest control, but no one could. So I dropped all mods and then tried adding them all back from ones that I remembered. So...
yeah, but I would highly...
Wait a minute, I don't even know... Wait a minute, Shape Commander's choosing to come up. I've got no idea who Shape Commander is.
It's me, Flat.
It's Mr. MK. He accepted the things
Nathan
basically, Thompson did.
So basically...
Take the mod status away.
So basically...
Not basically.
No, I'm sorry. Are you the owner of this live? Like, what is going on here? So listen, basically they're mad because I let that Nathan guy on my live, and like they're going to try to peer pressure you into carrying this, snowflake mentality over here, right? Like that's what's going on here, right? Like I told Nathan,
snowflake mentality.
I'm sorry, yeah, because
what is when I go after your children and preach Satanism to them? Is that okay, Nathan? Is that okay?
I told Nathan that was not a thing to do. That I disagree with that tactic. That throwing flyers out of schools is a silly thing to do. Okay. I'm sorry, but that does not mean that I have to behave the way you guys demand. Okay, and now you're coming here to Stingray's live and demanding that he follows what you say as well. That's why I
don't demand it.
That's what you're doing. You're
told him.
You're telling.
No, I don't demand
what he needs to do. That's what you're doing.
I don't demand it. I just said it to him.
You said you need to do this. That's what you just told him.
Oh yeah, and it's Stingray's life, and when he does it, then he does, and when not, then he not.
Okay. Right. So wait a minute. As much as I'm not a drama person, I have known Nathan and spoke to him on and off, mostly about 10 years ago, to be fair. And I remember that incident that was fucking an order of magnitude time ago, probably about 6 years, if I remember correctly, or somewhere around then. This is not a recent thing unless he's done it again, in which case that would be fucking stupid. So I suppose, and why the fuck did you change your name to Shape Commander? Jesus Christ, I didn't even know that I had a Shape Commander. But anyway, now
I don't know. I just thought it would be cool. I don't know.
No. So I've got so my question is quite simply, it is so here's my thoughts on it, and Nathan is actually relevant to this. My grandma had a fall, and she was in hospital, and although not senile, she was very suggestive. Now, she was laid up in bed, and and I live 200 miles away from where my family come from and where they are. And my mum told me that the local priest had gone round and had kept visiting her probably twice or 3 times a day. And she told me some of the nature of the things that he was saying. I was not all right with that. Yeah, I was not all right with that because of my grandma's diminished mental state. Not, like I say, not senile, but certainly not as clear or as sharp as she used to be. That's no different to a child. Now, that subject by itself, religion, is incredibly subjective, and it's deeply personal, and it's based on faith. So I don't agree with indoctrination of children or anybody that's vulnerable. So that included my grandma at that state. Now I got to the point where I thought, I hope that fucker's got medical insurance and I'll be up there in about 2 hours, because that really pissed me off. You do not abuse members of my family that are susceptible to suggestions that they that might even bring them some joy, but because they're in a diminished state, they're not in any kind of any kind of mental aptitude to be able to deal with it. And that's the same with children. Children's brains do not develop and are not fully developed until much later on.
So I mean, if I may, let me just read you what someone wrote in the chat. Flat allows Nathan up and agrees that he should be allowed up. Guilty by association. And so, I mean, this is why I refuse to bow down to this stuff, right? Because if someone does something wrong, they will go through the legal process. I do not engage in this virtue mob mentality that and masquerade myself as some kind of authority on anything. I am here very simply to discuss this issue, the issue of Earthshape, and nothing else. Okay, and so I have no time or tolerance for people who try to view it in that way, that you're not the gatekeeper of morality.
And still you platform him, man.
Did you not listen a word that I just said? You didn't, did you?
I mean, wait a minute. What do you mean you platform him? Or what does scary mean you platform him?
Because he's on my live, they say that I platform him or something, right? He has his own platform. He has enough followers to go live. He already has a platform. I have Nathan on my live because he makes strong arguments for this issue. Everyone is welcome on my live who wants to make strong arguments on this issue. I do not care about this people thinking that they are an authority on this depersonalization stuff. Okay, I don't want to hear that. So
he has zero arguments for flat Earth. He's a wizard from Wish. Yeah,
well,
and Shape Commander, imagine you have kids. Yeah,
I do, by the way. But yeah.
Yeah, okay, you have kids. I go to your kids' school and preach to them Satanism is real. Fuck God. What would you do to me? What would you do personally to me?
I wouldn't do anything to you. My children are homeschooled, so you're not going to teach my children anything. But again, if someone does something that is illegal, they will go through the process. Everything apart from that is you trying to enforce your sense of moral superiority onto other people, and that's what you're trying to do now.
Let's talk about moral superiority then, shall we, Flat? Let's talk about moral superiority. Let's talk about the fact that Nathan sat around a campfire on video talking about small hats, talking about Jewish people, talking about the fact
that that's illegal, and the
fact that unaliving them was okay.
If I may respond, Looney, if that's illegal, he will go through the process. I am not the gatekeeper of speech.
Agreeing with him.
I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him.
You are guilty by association. I don't agree with him. Guilty by association.
Okay, so I think that Stingray is getting a sense for what's really going on here. It's this moral gatekeeping, and that if people have ideas that's what you're doing. Because I'm sorry, talking about
you're doing it for views.
I'm sorry, Lenny.
You're doing it for views.
I'm sorry, Lenny. I'm sorry that it's not illegal. Wait a minute.
You're doing it for views.
I'm sorry that it's not illegal to discuss that issue. If you want it to be illegal to discuss that issue, contact your local representative.
Going to children. They are unsupervised and preach the stuff is illegal, even in the US.
He's got a list of schools he's not allowed anywhere near. He released that.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So contact your local representative.
Done it multiple times.
Contact your state representative.
Videos of him abusing
and enact
dogs.
some laws here. Okay, but
videos of him abusing dogs.
I can't deal with this. I mean, you guys are totally out to lunch. Dude.
So you are okay with it that he has a long list of schools he isn't allowed to go?
No, I mean, I told him that I would personally not engage in that.
Oh, okay.
And I told,
so that's
I mean, publicly
you told him that's fine. But you still allowed him a voice on your platform.
It's TikTok is the platform.
Sad,
okay, we're all
really
engaging
sad.
in that platform. Okay,
that's just sad though. You're doing it
no,
for
it's
views
not.
of people coming to your room.
What's sad is your worldview that you think that your virtue mob can just
you
go
are
around
allowing him a voice.
So
child grooming is okay for you, Shape Commander?
That's not child.
That is child grooming.
First of all, when you engage in this conversation in a hyperbolic way like that, you discredit your. So hang on, let me finish. When you engage, in bathing suits. Listen. When you talk about this issue in a hyperbolic way like that, you are discrediting your very legitimate argument. Of course, I agree with you that going to a school and leafleting a school for leafleting the school and exposing children to these ideas they can't comprehend, and causing confusion, right? Because they're obviously learning something very different, right? I would agree that's not a good thing to do. It's not a sound.
But you still allow him a voice, though.
Yeah, because the only thing I care about is this issue. What people do outside of that issue is their business.
So the fact that he's been doing this all the time, he's okay with you.
Are you a judge, sir? Are you
No, I'm not a judge, but I've got a moral sense of. I've got a moral sense of.
Wait,
I've got a moral sense of
if you're not a judge,
what's right
if you're
and
not
what's
a law enforcement person,
and the problem is you're giving him a voice on your platform because you're okay with it.
You're just a person.
No,
with
you're
a
okay with it, Flat.
So wait a minute, guys. As much as wait a minute, whoa, give me 2 seconds. So. I mean, I'm not a fan of drama. I really am not.
I agree.
Now, wait a minute. But the issue, I suppose the issue here for me is because I can see this from both sides. Now, don't get me wrong. Anybody comes up to my child, whether it be a Jehovah's Witness at the door. Let's put this in context 2 seconds. I have Jehovah's Witnesses come to the fucking door. I thought that was actually not a thing that could happen in the UK anymore, but apparently I'm fucking wrong. And they start talking to me and they try and push their religion on me and all that kind of bollocks. And they give me leaflets and all that kind of shit. And I actually have quite a laugh with them because of just who I am and all that kind of shit. Now, let's swap that for 2 seconds. Let's say, fast forward, my daughter's not 2.5. She's 8 years old or 9 years old. And she goes to the door and answers. Now, I'm trying to figure out how I'd feel about a Jehovah's Witness coming up and preaching their truth to my susceptible young daughter. Now, my first reaction isn't, utter disdain and violence. It's like my daughter's going to be smart enough to figure out that they're just talking bullshit anyway, because that's the way I'll bring her up. But let's say it did affect her. And she started thinking, and it changed her path. Now, the problem that I've got there is, as a parent, that path until she leaves home is my fucking responsibility. End of. No one without my permission should influence that. It's not that I'm a slave driver. It's that I owe her that to bring her up in what my truth is, not anybody else's. So it comes down to the magnitude of what could happen, right? Because it's not about that moment for me. It's about what could happen. So my daughter goes from 8 to 13, and now she gets heavily into religion. And that's, I mean, inherently that might not be a terrible thing. I don't. The only downside to that for me is the critical thought and accepting something without evidence. But maybe it brings her joy and stuff. Okay, so even though I'd be pissed off at the Jehovah's Witnesses, I can see a path through whereby it's not incredibly destructive, but it would seriously piss me off. Now, let's swap that situation with Flat Earth. Now, the fact of whether Flat Earth is true or not is irrelevant to what I'm going to say. So a flat earther comes to the door and tries to convince me, yep, I'm fully equipped to deal with that. But let's say seeds are planted in my daughter about flat earth. And when she gets to 13, she likes the idea of flat earth. She wants to embrace it, much like she did with a religion, and wants to do it based on faith that it's true, faith without evidence. And she accepts it as a truth. That is utterly detrimental to the rest of her life, and I'm really sorry for saying that, but this is my belief. She is now devoid of critical thought. She now will not succeed in STEM fields, which I absolutely wish for her to do. Science, technology, engineering, manufacturing, she will not be anywhere in those fields thinking that the Earth is flat. She won't be able to calculate load-bearing RSJ deflection if she went into structural engineering. She won't be able to comprehend 3D graphics and spherical projections and things like that to work out, any kind of geometric problems in or out of any field that uses it. She won't be able to do basic experimentation and have spatial awareness outside because now she's believing in something with zero evidence. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. That is objectively true. Flat Earth would be 100% useless to her in an applied sense in the world. Now, that is incredibly detrimental to her future. So I would prefer my daughter be indoctrinated by religion than anybody planting seeds that could fester to such an extent as to destroy the future of my child. Now, that's not on the same level of as something like the abuse and that kind of factor, but it's a serious, an absolutely serious downside that I would hope whoever has that has absolute fucking medical insurance, because they're going to need it. Just on the risk factor alone. Now, wait a minute. The problem now comes is in a single incident that happened 6 years ago, is it now fair to say that someone who speaks to that person accepts all of their views? Well, no. I actually don't agree with that. I don't agree with the promotion or platforming thing. Absolutely, fine. But speaking to someone and engaging with someone, which is what TikTok is for, I engage with flat earthers that I absolutely vehemently oppose. I engage with religious people that I think, to me, are batshit crazy. I engage with religious people that I think are actually destructive to our world. I don't promote them. I talk to them. And me talking to them isn't me supporting them. Now, it is, in my view, and I'm being serious here, Flat, it is, I'm in two minds about this, because for Nathan to do that, the platforming sense now comes down to, if we were to work out the probability or risk factors, is, let's say I invite Nathan on here. I never will, because the fucking asshole can't even explain how an air conditioner works, but he wants to argue the heat resistance of the ISS, but fuck that shit. But let's say I invite him on here for a chat about the beautiful flat non-rotating flat Earth. The issue that I've got there is I'm now exposing that individual that decided that was a good idea, that may or may not do it again and showed very little remorse, to a lot more people. And I'm not okay with that. Now, whether someone else does it, that's their decision, and I can't really prosecute them for their decision to the extent of my animosity towards what Nathan would be. But I seriously don't agree with anybody giving that person the time of day if he still believes that. And that's all I've got to say on it, to be fair.
At the end of the day, Nathan has not violated terms of service. He is a member of TikTok. And if TikTok is going to allow him to speak, then it is not my place to try to
personalize him. Yeah, he wears the stuff he's done like a badge, like the domestic abuse against his ex-girlfriend, his endangerment in children. He wears it like a badge. Stop fucking interrupting me.
No, I'm not. I'm saying, so,
And so give this fucker a platform.
So that's something else, right? You guys go around screaming this domestic stuff. and all you have is a video of someone yelling. Okay. If I knew,
no, you see him in the fucking video, man. You see him in the fucking video. You
doing what? Doing what? Yelling? So listen,
yelling at his kids.
If you were saying this about me and I knew who you were, I would sue you and take everything you have. But because you're anonymous, you get on here and scream and talk about.
Do you want my passport picture?
Wait, whoa, guys. I don't normally do this, but you.
I know, but they come here trying to make you do. They're trying to bully you into doing a certain. That's what they're here to do.
Don't try to bully him.
Wait a minute, whoa! Everybody, calm down. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. I came into Flat Earth, right? Because I wanted to face animosity. I knew that Flat Earthers would not like me at all, and the arguments that I brought. Wait a minute. I knew that they were going to be, have such animosity and fucking and vileness towards me, and they did, in my experience. And I came here so that to practice it in such a way, and this started 10 years ago, whereby it doesn't affect me anymore. And that's why this conversation doesn't affect me anymore. That's why Nathan or anybody screaming at me doesn't affect me anymore. And it's a fucking superpower in real life as well. I can stay calm in such amazing fucking situations. It's not even funny. And then I can get animated as well. But when I get animated, it's more like me acting and joining in than it's actually affecting me. So one thing that you should know is I have respect for people on this platform, but I give zero actual shits about anybody and their ability to influence me. If my parents and my goddamn mother cannot influence me, no anonymous person or nameless person on the internet is going to do anything for me. I'll make my own decisions. I just want to put that out there.
I agree.
So I would like to say something real quick, and I'll hop down. I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in. Not that it means a fuck, but here's the deal: my behavior is my choice. Your behavior is 100% your responsibility. Ideas are completely different. We can come on TikTok and we can talk. We can disagree about politics. We can disagree about religion. We can disagree about our feelings. Meaningless, means nothing. Okay? Behaviors. All right? You can claim to be about the truth all you want. The day that you decide to open your door and physically go measure the fucking earth, that's a different story. I judge you by your behavior. I don't care what you think about this or what your ideas are about that. If your values aren't in line with mine, I don't associate with you. We're not going to convince anybody on TikTok to condemn Nathan. So if you condemn Nathan and those people you're trying to convince to have the same values as you do, there's your answer. You just don't associate with those people. It's that fucking simple. You don't sit at their table when they break bread. Easy. Thank you for entertaining me. Goodbye.
Thanks, Baron.
Cheers, Baron.
Goodbye, Baron.
But my point about this whole situation is, even though it is it's obviously triggering, and like I said, medical insurance would be a must if it was anything to do with my kids. It really, my child, it would. But we don't. But try and, even though it might be personal in some cases, try and not bring all that emotion. Calm, cool, collective, concise is always going to prevail, even if the other person's shouting. So I would just say I would just say tone it down a little bit, even though it might be emotional, because it's a good practice for just real life in other situations as well.
But dude, if this piece of shit Nathan Thompson would approach, if I had kids, yeah, and spew this kind of shit and grooming them, I would sit in a fucking
no. I know, and I've just said Nathan would require medical insurance, which is about the same thing. And like I said, I would prefer someone to convince if I've got two options, and everybody knows what I think about religion, But if I've got two options, and one is some fucker's going to convince my daughter that God is real, and someone's going to convince her that the Earth is flat, I'm going with the God proposition. I really fucking am, because to be honest, that's not going to limit her in many options within her life. But the other one seriously fucking is, and that's why I wouldn't beat the absolute living shit out of a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian that comes around pushing this. But someone that does flat Earth might be a little bit of a different story. And that's not because I hate flat Earth. It's not. And flat Earth has got nothing to do with it, to be fair. It's about giving my child an idea that will give her great disadvantage throughout her fucking life. If I'm making pains to make that, good.
I think the main problem we have with all of this, the main problem we have with all of this is that all we had was like a couple of videos of him doing this, okay? So obviously people are curious, they've gone digging, they found lots more videos associated with this guy to do with the same sort of stuff. And on his own records, he's actually got a list of all the schools, he boasts about it, all the schools that he's not allowed to go to because he's been there and done the same thing. It's not the fact that he's done it once, it's the fact that it's the repetitive nature of it and the fact that he's admitted he'd quite openly do it again. That's what I don't like about the guy.
Okay, so again, we're talking about your feelings. There is a legal process, and people go through the legal process. We are not judges. We are not members of law enforcement. We are people on TikTok. Okay, now if you, like Baron said, if you do not want to associate with people based on these personal reasons, fine. But you guys come in here. That's what happened on my live. You guys come in my live and started melting down because Nathan was there. Okay, just don't come to my live. And now you're coming to Stingray's live and you're saying, look, you need to get rid of this mod. You need to do that. Why are you telling other people what they need to do?
I don't say get rid of this mod. I just said remove your mod status. That's all.
I'm passing information. I'm passing information to Stingray. Hang on, Phil. Hang on a second. I was talking before you even started. I'm just speaking to Stingray because I speak to him in other lives as well. I'm just passing on information and I'm just advising him of what's been going on. That's it. What he decides to do with that is up to Stingray.
Yeah, cool. That's cool. But that's not. That's fine. But
I've got a question for Stingray.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Okay. Stingray, you said you would choose religion over flat Earth?
Yes.
For your children's education?
Sorry, say again.
You would choose religious education over versus flat Earth education for your children?
Absolutely correct, yes. Whoa. If those two were my only options, absolutely correct, yes.
Okay, yep. All right, confirmed. If those two are your only options, and now let's say the religious option was Christianity, and it said that in the beginning the Word was with God, and God said that the earth was void and without form, and then he created a firmament, and there's four corners, and it's flat. Would you accept that religion or not?
That religion, you see, the thing about Christianity is most Christians don't believe that, and the interpretations of the Bible are incredibly subjective. Even later biblical scholars interpret that differently. You also get translation errors in the King James Bible. The religious text, let's say the Christian Bible itself, or books within or therein, you interpret. And the majority of that interpretation is not that the Earth is flat. Otherwise,
I would push back on that.
Hold on. Please let me continue with
I gotta drop down. Have a good one.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm going to drop as well. Stingray, thanks for having us up, dude, and I will catch you in another live.
All right, cool. Cheers.
Okay. But yeah, I did want to just highlight on that, and I would agree with you, Stingray, that a lot of Christians who read the Bible don't seek it out for the mere purpose of the shape of the planet. Most Christians are only reading or going to church to have the Bible read to them for a spiritual purpose, not necessarily like an existential, what shape is the planet or the realm I live in type of education. So yeah, I would agree with you there. You're making a solid point that most Christians, I would say and agree with you that they're mostly investing their time and education and beliefs into the ideals of spirituality versus the shape of the planet. But it's not to say that the Bible itself isn't, depicting a flat plane of existence, or a level plane of existence, a plane T, if you will. But the majority of Christians do oversee that, because I've intermingled with,
Jacko, are you arguing that the majority of the Christians haven't read Genesis?
Well,
I mean, listen. So if I could,
it's literally in the beginning of the book.
They didn't read it for the purpose of determining the shape of the
Okay. I want to revise my answer then. If I determine after looking at a religion that there is a high probability that my daughter would also accept the flat earth during that religion, then no, she's going to be a devil worshipper. We've got three options: devil worship, Christian, or
God, Stingray, bro.
I found Stingray is on TikTok that a lot of flat earthers are Christian.
Well, I mean, I would just like to say something really quick if I could. I mean, look, people, the Christianity is derived from the Hebrew cosmology, and the Hebrew cosmology is of a closed system, a flat earth realm, okay?
No, it's not.
And so, yeah, it 100% is.
It isn't.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, again, in the Bible, in the
original Hebrew Bible, it doesn't say in the beginning. It doesn't say in the beginning. It says when God began, he found the earth. Earth was already there. It was without form.
So now the God of Abraham is a space traveler. I understand, but the problem for you is that
always has been, but
he's always been a space traveler.
Where in the Hebrew Bible does it say that the earth is 100%
well, I mean, look, anybody here, anybody listening can go delve into Hebrew cosmology.
Give me the exact verse that says that the earth is flat.
It says that the earth takes the shape of clay pressed under a seal. It says that the earth is fixed and immovable. It says that God sits on a throne atop the world. The idea
guys, whoa, wait a minute. It also says things like fucking trees came before light. So I'm not into the ramblings of ancient civilizations that are controlled by incredibly powerful men at the time. I am not, which is predominantly most, if not all, religions. Religions are an invention to explain or to assign agency to natural physical things, explanations. And that's all they are. And believe it or not, they're a part of evolution. Right? They absolutely are. When our ancient hominids roamed the fucking African plains, if the grass rustled and you didn't think it was a predator, at some point you're going to be fucking wrong and you die. You assign agency to things. That's what we are. We need explanations, and in lieu of being able to test and verify, we dream. That's all that religion is to me. It absolutely is. However, the shape of the planet is something you can objectively verify independent to what anybody else says. That's always my argument. So the thing, let me just finish. So the thing about religion is it has nothing, zero to do with the shape of the planet. Just religion's got as much to do with the shape of the planet as a fucking Spider-Man comic. And I don't care what NASA says about the shape of the planet. NASA could tell me that my fucking car on the driveway, the wheels are inefficient and don't fucking turn, or, can't carry weight. That is objectively false. What someone says that I can verify, I just go with what I can verify, not hearsay.
Okay, so listen, I would just like...
is because you said you would prefer somebody to teach your children religion versus flat earth.
Yeah.
The only reason I brought this up.
Yeah. Let's get off the religious thing because it's a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I try to keep religion out of this argument as much as I can. But when people start talking about religion and making these claims, I feel obligated to say the idea that any of that could be true, and we can get in a rocket ship and just leave the world created for us by God and just like wave at him as we go, I think is ridiculous. But I mean, so I have a question for Stingray. Stingray, how far away from the world do we have to travel before we see it as a ball, a globe?
0 feet. As long as you're out, as long as you're outside.
So we see the Earth as a ball outside.
Yeah, 100%. You see the Earth presenting as one massive fucking sphere in a myriad of different independent variable ways that can be tested and verified, where no explanation for all of those different ways exists for anything else without special pleading and magic. It's that simple.
Right. So yeah, I mean, listen, if you are taking these other different ways of observations and stuff, and you're using that to create this picture, sure. But that's not what we see. No matter how far. I'm sorry. I'm almost done. Short of taking the pictures and videos provided to us by NASA as fact, right? Short of that, no matter how high we go, but helicopter, airplane, high altitude balloon, we see the Earth the same way as this expanse of land rising into the distance. Yeah, we do. What are you talking about?
We don't. We factually don't.
Yeah,
the
we
higher we go,
100% do. We 100% do.
Besides the fact that on Earth we see things the Earth curves.
We don't. No, we don't. We don't see.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We see boats go over the curve. You've seen the videos. I don't want to argue about it.
Well, you are though arguing about it. That's what we're here to do.
You can't provide a counter to it.
Yeah, I can.
Hello, everybody in the chat.
The only curve.
Oh, Gary. So wait a minute, guys. I don't like over talking and all that kind of shit. Now, and wait a minute. And you saying I agree was actually over talking me, while I'm saying I don't like people over talking. So well done on that one. Yeah, I'd just like to welcome Gary. Gary is I don't know what Gary is. He was a
level earther.
Okay,
to be fair, those things, right? To be fair, you're the host. Exert some control over how we're talking here.
Oh no! Wait a minute. Just so that everybody's aware, don't get me wrong. I will kick every fucking person on this panel, Glober and Flat Earther alike, just for over talking, and I will be indiscriminate about it because the over talking and stuff. It is a subject. Yeah, it's no different to discussing the weather to me now. So quite how people are trying to overtalk and feel so personal about this. The reason I don't feel personal most of the time is it's objective reality. I do not need to defend that which is real. I don't. I just need to try and explain people how to look at it to verify for it themselves. That's not me defending it. What is objectively real needs no defense. You just need to understand. This is how you figure out that the Earth is a globe by using things that are outside your door at 0 feet. That's it.
Why don't you go down the column one at a time? Because I know I haven't been able to get a word in edgewise. So why don't you just go down the column one at a time, Gary and down?
Yeah. Normally I don't allow this many fucking people up. To be fair, but I was actually. I don't know. There was just a bit of drama here. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. I apologize for every single person that I'm about to kick, but this is because of Sal's suggestion. Rocket, I'll leave you up as a mod because for some reason you can invite other people back up, which is a bit weird. But anyway, Gary, hello. Did you think about?
I thought that was like I saw everyone leaving, going, "Oh no, I've just got here."
No. So I'll bring people up like sparingly, but the over talky bit when you just leave two people at it and stuff. Like for instance, in case no one knows this, myself, Gary, and Rosie. Yeah, thank you. Fucking drawing a blank there. Rosie had a really cool conversation yesterday and discussed loads of things, and there's no animosity. There was very little over talking other than me occasionally interrupting, saying, I don't agree with that. And, but also saying, hey, interrupt me if you don't agree with an actual point. And I thought that was a really constructive and fruitful conversation. And that's what that's what I like here. I really do. So I'm more about that rather than just the animosity and the over talking. Just to close out the point on the Nathan thing, because it seems to be a hot topic. I'm still mulling it over. I'm still thinking. I will say, unfortunately, Dr. Phil Flat, I won't be in any of your lives if Nathan is there. If after I look into it that he hasn't changed, he is he still holds all those beliefs, and if there's more evidence, like people suggested, that he is that way, that's not an individual that I want my name next to on a live. So that wouldn't be a thing that I would ever do again. But anyway, Gary, how are you doing? Let's move away from fucking drama for 2 seconds. Did you have a think about what we discussed?
All I could think of was Stingray. Oh no, quick, pandemic, get me. That's what that was the last bit that we was on. But no, I really enjoyed the chat the other day, as you were saying, and it's got to be space and time for people to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is hard when you're having more than a few people, Stingray, in your chat. People get very passionate. I was thinking about this today, actually, when we were having a chat, and Rose was like, "Oh, you're really calm." I think when I was first into this, like this discussion and things, you do get quite irate, and you sometimes, So I think I've learned not to be like. I'm quite chilled, but I've had discussions with Christians non-Christians like ex-Christians, say. And I'll be talking, and then people will talk over and shout over, and I was like, but I just let you speak for 10 minutes, and you've not let me have 1 minute, we put recourse back. So I just think it's nice that's why I want to hear your points, because obviously you're an inventor. I saw your thing with the lenses, which I thought was really good. And, doing your own kitchen and your examples, all the things you were talking about, especially with the sun coming in at that certain angle, that it doesn't go on that the Capricorn when it was in Australia.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fit. I was like, oh. So I liked listening to your thing, because I was like, okay. And I could see that you've got a lot of honesty about you, and you're trying to give your point of view across. So what was you saying? What point yesterday was I think about? Because I interrupted with the Stingray.
Yeah, no, I often think about the Stingray fucking thing. No, what I was saying is, so something like the Australia thing. Well, actually, all the things that I showed you that don't work on a flat Earth, that just automatically work by slapping them on a sphere and rotating it, including, like, I think we also did the path of the sun through your sky, like, today. Yeah, and that prediction of just slapping you on a globe and fucking rotating it works. Now, all of those things that worked on the globe, then all of those same things that didn't work on flat Earth. What would be good for flat earthers to do, or stationary earthers, or whatever, is to go away to their communities and either try and figure it out themselves, or ask in their communities, how do we explain this, or what are the mechanisms? What are the experiments that we can do to get a prediction and then verify it in reality? Because it's not about the cartoon. It's not about the computer model. It's about an understanding of something that you get a prediction out of to then measure against reality to see how good your understanding was. Now, to my knowledge, no individual in flat Earth ever has done that. Zero. Not one. Not one flat Earth prediction has ever come out and comes out as true. It's always really abstract, really floaty, really touchy-feely. Well, maybe this, and it's inference. Anyway, go on, Gary.
I was thinking a lot about you today, Stingray.
Oh, Jesus. Well, wait a minute. In all fairness, I did watch one of your latest video, one of your songs as well. It's not bad. I like it.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. No, but I was just like thinking about, I really enjoyed it, and I was trying to think about a few points that we were talking about. I mentioned you to my friend. I said that I'd had a really good discussion with you guys, and I was talking about it, and I was going, it was really good to have a good debate about things. And my friend was a flat earther. Now he's not, because he loves aliens in space, and
nice.
He was like. He sort of went level Earth with me and went that way, but he's just UFO crazy, and he can't give that up. So he's like, no, they're coming, the aliens are coming. So that's unfortunate. That's how we go. So he's back on the side of round Earth and space and stuff. But I was just saying we had a really good chat and I really enjoyed it. But this is nothing really to do with that. I just wanted to ask you, this is a question a little bit off topic, but yesterday we was looking with the professor when the professor and Rose was there, and I was asking about like things like in space and not leaving the Earth. And then a few videos come up from Elon Musk where they were showing leaving the Earth, and he said there was about 90 videos, maybe 100 this year. So my question to you, Stingray, is to flip it a little bit. I was thinking about this earlier. Do you believe that Elon Musk floated a car off towards the sun with David Bowie playing in the background?
So I don't know about the David Bowie playing in the background thing, but unfortunately, so here's an interesting story. I won't go into specifics, but an individual that I work with, his son has worked with Elon Musk for I think about 8 years now, and directly with him, and is responsible for a lot of things regarding marketing and things like that. But he has weekly, if not bi-daily, dealings directly with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a class A fuckwit megalomaniac. People don't want to go to meetings with him because they're in fear of getting fired almost all the time. The core people that do support him have stuck around for quite a while, but even my mate's son who works with him is in fear for his job. Like every time they go to a fucking meeting, even though he's been going to these meetings for, the better part of nearly a decade. So it's like, okay, so Elon Musk is that type of person. And he's also a type of person that believes that he can pull a fucking 300-mile vacuum in a tube and it be safe for people. It's like, no, that's fucking ridiculous, you stupid asshole. A first-year engineer would know that is utterly fucking ridiculous. Expansion and contraction of steel over the different fucking temperate climates that would travel through would cause such engineering fucking nightmares, and it would require one failure for everybody in there to suddenly fucking die because there would be a shockwave traveling through it. Anyway, it's a stupid idea. He's a stupid person, but he's also eccentric, and that's why he wins. He's eccentric enough to put a fucking Tesla in space, but not. But there's two thoughts to this. One is it's eccentric. It's something only he would do. So that's marketing proposal number one. Marketing proposal number two is that nearly weighed 2 tons. So that wasn't so much putting a car in space and saying I'm it, although that was the majority for him. It was SpaceX saying, we can take payloads into space and put them in orbit. Look at us. It needed to be tested. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It needed to be tested. And yes, it did happen.
Because what it was, the only reason I bring that up is because when I saw all of my friends, non-flat earthers, they're all round earth space buddies. And we was all talking about this at the time. And then there was a little glitch where it looked like it was, I don't know, in some room somewhere, and then Elon coming out and went, oh, it's so real because it looks so fake. You know it's real because it looks so fake. He's laughing, and even my friend went, that is a bit odd that he said that.
Right. Okay. Do you want an explanation for that from a visual effects artist?
Go
there's something called the uncanny valley, right? And it's a similar proposition. Although, okay. So
I'll just say hello to Rosie. Hello, Rosie. Hi. Carry on, sir.
Yeah. Just so you know, we've got Rosie up here, the Astro Nerd, and we've also got an actual rocket engineer who's designing, I don't know, some fucking PCB shit when he should be working on my maths problem at the moment. But anyway, but anyway, what I was saying is, so in visual effects, well, actually, so I had a long career in games, doing console games. And I mean a multi-decade career in visual effects and console games and things like that. But a lot of the console games that I did, I've worked on like shit tons of titles. Do you know the easiest ones to work on are like the ones that are hyper unrealistic? And the reason, and I'm going back like 10, 15 years now, because I'm not going to say, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a range, but it's everything from BBC titles, Thomas the Tank Engine, all the way to Battlefield to MotorStorm, just loads, right? Absolutely loads. I had a long career in this. In every type of genre that you can imagine, in every type of style of game. But the hardest ones to do were always the ones that chase realism. And the problem with realism is everybody can take a measure and a gauge against realism. So, for instance, let's take one of the games. So Battlefield 2, yeah, they've got an M60. It's a breech load. I think that's what they call it, breech loading, top loader. M60. You shove a belt in there. It needs to be in between two guides. You close it. Coincidentally, there was no fucking visual reference for this when we were building it either. But the point of that is that mechanism, that action, that reload, and then the subsequent firing of the gun and all that kind of stuff in the game. That needs to be realistic. And people can gauge realism really well. Why? Because they fucking inhabit the real world. Okay, that's an issue. It's harder to fool someone to thinking it's real when they've got a lot of experience of what's fucking real, right? Now, there are some caveats there. The caveats are what we think of as real, I'm pretty sure, is you're looking at light bouncing off objects through the atmosphere. That's it. That's what you're doing. You're looking at a certain luminosity of light hitting objects, reflecting off it, going through the atmosphere, either short distances or long distances, hitting your eye, and that's what you're seeing, or your camera, or anything like that. That's your reality. But what happens if you take away the atmosphere, for instance? Well, now the light doesn't attenuate through the atmosphere, so now it's a metric fuck-ton brighter. Now there's no refraction, which means things in the distance can be incredibly surreally in focus, more so than if you're looking through a thick, dense atmosphere that makes the light slightly soft. So what you're actually doing is you're saying what Elon Musk was saying is it looks fake because you have zero to compare it to, and that's why you know it's real, because it doesn't compare to anything that is here on the earth, because there is no atmosphere up there making everything slightly soft. The luminance ranges, in other words, the latitude of what's the difference between what's light, the lightest light to the darkest dark, all of that changes. Even the color temperature, what we call the color temperature of the light, changes when you have no atmosphere there. So all of those things changing are unlike anything that you see in your reality here on the ground. It looks fake because you've never seen a car in fucking space being real before. And that's what he meant. And that's true.
Oh, that's probably about right, Stingray. That is the first car I've seen in space. That's for sure.
There you go.
No, that's very true. Hello, Rovian. Who's this rocket dude who's building rockets then, below then? What's his...
Nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you too, sir.
Yeah, go on then. Rocket, go on then. What do you do?
So I'm currently a aerospace engineering student in their second year. I'm doing a placement year with Parker Mega Aerospace, which is an engineering company that work in defense and civil aviation. So I'll be working on Ospreys, missiles, some Ryanair jets. Yes, some Boeings. It's not my fault if it crashes. But then I'm going to work towards them. I'm working towards my master's and then eventually going to do a PhD in spacecraft propulsion.
Nice.
That's pretty amazing, sir. Well, good luck with your study.
Thank you very much. So if you have any anyone in the chat, anyone, whatever, if you have questions about planes or rockets, DM me.
Oh, wait a minute. I've got a question, Rocket, just really quickly before you go, because I think it was you that pointed me towards this before. So here's an interesting story. I first learned about flat Earth, right? That must have got me interested in flat Earth debates. And one of the things really puzzled me. And it was a rocket that was launched from the ground that went up and then suddenly looked like it hit a brick wall. Yeah. Wait a minute, Gary. Wait a minute. Now, I heard. I wanted an explanation for this. Now, my first thought was, fucking hell, that just hit something solid. And then my second logical thought was, wait a minute, that was traveling at such a speed that if it hit something solid, we need this material in more things because it didn't obliterate itself, right? So that was logic problem number one. Now, logic problem number two was, hang about, that was spinning a lot, and I guess they do that. I guess they do that for just control over the trajectory a little bit better. And it's got a camera on it. Wait a minute.
Yep.
You'd want to not have it spinning with the camera on. And then about fucking 4 years later, I think it was you, Rocket, in a Discord, told me about yo-yo D-spin or something.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, can you just tell me what that yo-yo D-spin is again? Because I fucking forgot.
So yo-yo D-spin works on the conservation of angular momentum. So the reason, first off, that model rockets, high-altitude model rockets spin is for stabilization, because when you spin something very fast, you greatly increase its moment of inertia, meaning that if you want to push it off axis, you need an incredibly high force compared to when it wasn't spinning, which means it stays very straight. Now, when you get to your apogee, you don't really want it spinning anymore. So the best way to stop it from spinning is like a figure skater when they want to slow down, is by ejecting mass away from the center of mass of the rocket. And what they essentially do is they wrap like a cord or a tether with a long string with some counter masses on the end. And then when they want it to stop, they release the tether, the spools unspool, and the masses are sort of flung out perpendicular to the rocket's trajectory, and it essentially stops its rotation due to just Newton's laws.
That is cool. That's so fucking cool.
It is very cool, yeah. But yeah, same thing figure skaters use. It's exact same principle.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Cheers. Yeah, I remember it was you that told me about that yo-yo D-spin. I just forgot your explanation at the time, or maybe I weren't paying attention. It was definitely one of them. But cheers. Does that answer you, Gary? I thought that might be one of your questions.
See, yeah. Thank you, Rocket Dude. What's his name?
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
I don't mind you.
Because I saw that one obviously a long time ago. So I was like, wow, what's it hitting, man? It's hitting the firmament. and I was like, well, there's got to be some more of those then, and hadn't seen many more. But then there's a compilation on TikTok now. I think there's 7 different ones that are skimming across something or hitting objects. But it's just very hard to verify, and I'd not heard that explanation that the guy just said before now. So when you don't know, like, I'm a musician, yeah, but I'm only starting to learn sheet music now. When you don't know the theory and breaking down of stuff, you're just you're at people's whim, because I could say anything and I don't know, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got no idea, and then I don't know the theory of how things work. It's like when Stingray was showing me the sun coming in on certain paths, on orbital like paths, and he was like, and it won't hit there in Australia. I was like, oh, well, I don't know that, but it looked pretty spot on what he was saying. But when you don't know the things and you're a layman in whatever subject it is, it's really hard to fight your corner, and you're just going to end up ranting, or just, like Rosie and Stingray was saying, you get people and like, you're all, I thought maybe I'll do that today and go crazy on you. I'm like, yeah, you just don't know people. But it's just, it's just good to try and hear the explanations for these things, and then say, okay, maybe there is a case for this, because I don't think we're flying through space right now. That's my opinion. But I'm not going to say that I'm never going to change my, not if there's evidence for it, then I'm not going to just go no and just shut my eyes and.
I mean, Gary, did I tell you last time about the flying through space thing?
You said something like, we're not fly. Did you say we're not flying?
What I said was because when you say you don't think we're flying through space, what would be the reasons why you don't think that's the case?
I just because please don't laugh at me.
No, it's all right.
When I'm lying there in bed at night, I'm like, I don't feel any movement. But if I'm
right, okay, wait a minute. You should drink more then. It comes to you. When you drink more, you get hypersensitive to the Earth's motions.
No, you do. You're like, oh, you do. But I've stopped drinking now. That's why I don't like that spinny feeling.
Yeah.
But no, but when I'm lying still or not in any object, I don't feel any movement. But if I was saying about the lift or a car or anything fast, I can feel it. So I feel those things are moving, and I'm feeling that movement.
Yeah. So
can I ask a question, if that's okay?
Yes, go on, sir.
So which do you feel more? Someone who's someone's joining the motorway and they're going from 0 to 100 really quickly, or do you feel more at cruising altitude on an airplane going 600 miles an hour? Which do you feel more?
Well, I was saying this to Stingray the other day. I've only been on a few planes, but the last one was about 2016 to Portugal. Yeah. And, you know, can I say what would feel more? I think I'd have to say that there's not much difference from it in the sense of you can just feel the bumps in the road, or you can feel the bumps in the turbulence in the air. Not much of it. Would you say there's much difference between 600 and 90?
Okay, well, Garrett, that was really important what you said there. You can feel the bumps, and you can feel the turbulence. Well, anyway, you go for it, Rocket. I'm going to go get a drink.
So those bumps, those turbulences, they're slight jolts. And in a physics sense, you would describe them as small accelerations. So it shows to a sense that although speed-wise, there's nothing really feeling, the only thing you're feeling is the slight accelerations in bumps and turbulence. And if you actually look at, the equations that describe force and what we should feel, you don't actually feel speed. You only feel acceleration. It's the reason why you can, stand a penny on its edge on a high-speed train, or you can fall asleep on a plane. But if you're in a, rally car going around a dirt track that's constantly braking, accelerating, you're not fucking sleeping through that shit. That's for certain.
Also, if you are on a plane, that is then an inertial reference frame. It feels no different to when you're on the ground. Essentially, like the same as like when you're sitting on a train, you can't really feel that moving. It just feels like you just sat, but you are moving at like 100 miles an hour. So that would be an inertial reference frame, if you want the term for it.
Yeah, I sort of do agree with you guys. Obviously, Rose and Rocket Man. Like when I've gone on a few Virgin trains that are doing 75, as Rose is saying. And obviously the acceleration and deceleration, if you're not in the right place, you can smack yourself into things and you can feel it super. Maybe when you are, maybe it's the bumps and when the track as you're riding along at those speeds, you are feeling those, and turns maybe. But I was thinking this, because I do kitchen fitting and plumbing, and we was working in this block of flats. A few months ago, we were doing it regularly for a few months, and the lift's doing like 2 or 3 miles an hour. It's nothing. But as I'm in the middle of the lift, I'm just thinking I can still feel myself being pulled up, and it's a small rate. It might have been, as you guys are saying, maybe it's because it was an old lift and it's got a bit of a bobble to it, so it's not a straight movement of pure solid. The same speed, if you know what I mean.
I think. Wait a minute, just really quickly, because I'm back now. Jesus Christ! By the way, nobody ever eat Pringles hot smoking barbecue ribs flavor.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Well, if you've got a mouth that's covered in fucking Teflon or something, maybe. But Jesus Christ, I've just had one. I can hardly talk now. No, but what I was going to say, this was funny when I worked for a game studio in Brighton, the biggest one at the time. And we had a studio next to the station, brand new fucking building, and it had these lifts in it. And what are the lifts are just air driven, right? That's all it is. These air driven lifts or fluid driven lifts, something. But whatever it was, hydraulic, yeah. But honestly, Looney, you could compress the fuck out of these things because it used to be 4 or 5 floors. I used to piss people off because I used to jump up and down on the way up just to make them oscillate backwards and forwards, up and down, just to piss people off. And
I tell you what, as a repair engineer, I hate you. I hate you as a lift engineer repair person. I fucking hate people like you.
No one. Well, put it this way: after about a month of doing that, I have the lift to myself. It's a good strategy, I tell you. But no. What I was going to say to you, Gary, is I can feel a lift as well most of the time. And I'm sure Rocket explained, we feel acceleration, and that acceleration includes like an increase in velocity over time as well as a decrease in velocity over time. And to be honest, a lift doesn't, there's not many lifts, I don't think, that would get up to a set speed in a short amount of time and then stay at a certain speed so that you wouldn't feel movement. They kind of accelerate and then decelerate, don't they?
Hello?
Hello.
Lift engineer, lift installation guy here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are some lifts that you won't feel that upwards after a few seconds. I mean, the ones in the Shard are moving at about 8 meters a second. So you won't actually feel them sort of like, once they get up to speed, you won't feel them for about 15, 20 floors, and then they'll obviously start slowing down and you'll feel that. But, there are lifts over in Japan, I think in the, I can't remember what the name of the building is. It's the one that looks like a big pagoda, sort of all the way up. And those lifts are traveling at 16 meters a second. And they had to pressurize the lifts because they were moving down with such force that it was acting like a plunger inside the shaft. So it had massive air resistance and it was rocking the lift all over the place. So yeah, it's definitely a problem with acceleration on lifts, and they can't seem to get them a lot faster. Because as soon as they do, they have this problem where they either have to pressurize the lift shafts or people start having real severe body problems. And when I say body problems, I mean of the fluid kind.
Yeah. Garrett. So on that acceleration, deceleration thing, odds are that most of the trip that you take in that elevator where you think, I can feel this 5 mile an hour. You're not feeling a constant 5 mile an hour. You're feeling getting up to a 5 mile an hour. And then by the time you're up to it, it's almost decelerating again. So you're feeling that deceleration again.
That is probably true because it was only 3 or 4 floors.
Yeah, it won't get up to a constant whereby now you wouldn't feel it. If you went up like Looney said in like the spiral, something fucking huge, it's going to get up to kind of a constant velocity across a certain number of floors whereby you wouldn't feel that motion then. Unless he's been responsible for servicing or engineering it, and then there's going to be some rattles, bumps, clunks, screams and shit like that.
Come on. I was the first person to install a AAA quality lift in the Shard, so I can't be that bad. But like Stingray just said, if you are in a high rise lift, the lift will generally get up to speed within the first sort of 6 or 7 floors normally, maybe slightly less. Depends on what sort of motor it's running and what sort of lift it is. I mean, hydraulic lifts take a long time to get up to speed. But if you are, if you're traveling in any kind of lift over sort of like, I would say 15 to 20 floors, you would feel a certain drop of that pressure sort of on the bottoms of your feet as it was going up, because it would reach the maximum speed. So you wouldn't feel it for a little bit. And then as it came into deceleration, you'd feel that kind of, the feeling in your stomach that you get when you go over a humpback bridge, basically.
Yeah, so basically the same thing where you said, oh, well, you feel turbulence in the air and you feel bumps on the road. Take away those bumps and take away that turbulence, you feel nothing, even though the vehicle is traveling, even though the aircraft is traveling. If the aircraft was traveling through a homogeneous atmosphere, so no turbulence, no nothing, you could just sleep and lie there thinking, why don't I feel motion? And it'd be exactly the fucking same.
I was thinking of this other little thing as well, like, was it because of the elliptical orbits of like the planets, right? I know this is a little bit out there, but I was thinking about us like talking about this to you today, Stingray. And because we've got Rocket Man here, he might be able to go, Gary, I've got the total explanation for this as well.
That weren't a good impression. You need to be more feminine. I'm sorry, Finn. I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
But,
yeah.
Oh, God. But no, basically, even when I've been driving in a car, like, so because I've been thinking about these motions and different things, obviously. But when you're going round something with a bit of an elliptical, a curve, it doesn't matter if it's a giant roundabout or anything, and even if you're doing the same sort of speed, you can feel everything pulling towards that side.
100%, 100%, Garrett, 100%. But wait a minute, let me just add something here. Did I go through the sellotaping or super gluing the scales to your feet example with you?
You did. You said about the raising and gluing, and then if you was they were glued to you.
And in free fall, those scales read net zero, right? Yeah. So from that point onwards of it reading net zero, there's no forces being applied to you. And when we use the Earth's orbit around the sun, when we use the sun's place in the Sagittarian arm going around the central fucking black hole of our Milky Way galaxy, and when we use the galaxy hurtling through expanding space, all of those forces there will always be net zero. There's no force there that would be anything other than net zero. The only one that isn't net zero is the rotation of our planet. That's it. So if you, so when flat earthers criticize like this, we're going around the sun at this speed, that means nothing. Physics says you feel nothing from that. The only one physics says you feel something from is the rotation of the Earth. And if you look at precious metal traders, or if you look at even flat Earth videos of using a ring laser gyro to measure the rotation of the Earth, they measure and demonstrate and account for the rotation of the Earth. And that's even flat earthers doing that. I don't know whether you are very, I don't normally say this, but rest his soul, Bob Nodell did, I think it was $30,000. A member of the flat earth community purchased a ring laser gyro and took it out there. And it was all about, if the Earth is rotating, it's 15 degrees per hour, this will register it. And it did. It does. But he didn't need to do that. What he needed, in fact, I'll ask Rocket this. Rocket, can you describe what INS is in old aircraft?
Oh, God, right.
I love the fact that you're too fucking young. I like that.
Right. So it's, okay. No, it stands for Inertial Reference System.
Yeah.
It's a bit outdated. It's like shit I look into, not that I study. Oh God. So
basically, INS before GPS for aircraft was something, you needed a way to navigate, right? And pilots didn't do it on the fucking stars when they're up there, and when GPS wasn't around, they didn't, that wasn't a thing. And you didn't even need to map, even when magnetic declination or magnetic direction was a bit spurious as well. That still doesn't get you to, unless you flew magnetic lines or, had all these charts and things, you needed an accurate way to determine where you were. Because if you had a headwind and, and you're flying along at what you think is a certain airspeed, you got no way to measure the ground speed. What happens if you've got a headwind that may or may not be anywhere from 0 miles an hour to fucking 150 miles an hour? At what point are you going to turn right? You needed a way to determine this. So an INS system is basically a mechanical gyroscope that spins up incredibly fast. Now, a gyroscope spins up and gets fixed in space. Now, just like tearing a scales at the airport, you'd look up your location before you go on the aircraft, and then this gyro would spin up. That's it. And then it would be fixed in place. Now, that aircraft would take off and fly at an altitude. Then they would measure the precession in relation to the starting axis of what happens to that gyro. So as flying along on a curve, that gyro starts to precess because it's keeping its axis in 3D space, but it's not following the curve. It's keeping its axis in 3D space. And the offset from the plane's attitude versus the gyroscopic precession that's happened is how they worked out where they were on a globe regardless of headwind. And they used this for fucking decades. And it's like, the flat earthers didn't need a ring laser gyro. Just go back fucking like 30 years and use an INS system. But anyway, there you go. But I would look into that if I were you, Gary. The INS systems and old aircraft, the way that people knew where they were required a globe.
I'll have a little look into that. I'll have a look because I don't know much about it, but I'll have a little look into that. Thank you.
Did you just out of interest, Gary? Did you speak to any flat earthers after you had the chat with me and Rosie yesterday?
No, I spoke to my friend who's the alien dude who doesn't believe in it anymore. As I said earlier, he was really the only one. I did no. Actually, no, that's a lie, Stingray. I actually spoke to the girl that I'm studying. I was told you I was going to do some studying with her on the book of the Ethiopian Bible, and she's a flat earther, and we had a little discussion about it. And I said I had a really good conversation with you guys, but I said obviously, you're not privy to this conversation because you wasn't there. But I was just saying, I liked his points and I agreed with him, but I still believe that we are not moving through space, and that's what we were talking about. But I still just said we had a good discussion with each other. So, but
I've got a question. I've got a question for you on that statement, though, because that one's interesting to me. You don't believe we're moving through space. Here's the thing: for you to say that and be honest to yourself, I'm going to put it to you that you would need to know what moving through space looks like if you were on a globe to know that it's not that. So my question to you is, what does that look like, and what would you do?
That is good. I like that.
I know, right?
Good, like flipping that round that way.
Yeah.
I was going to say to the rocket guy, like, I just feel that, like, when things are on the Earth, and obviously we know we're having gravity at play here, but when things are on the Earth and we're flying in vehicles that are going very fast, it can knock people out at Mark 1 and Mark 2. Like, some of the pilots could go unconscious at Mark 3 in the very fast fighter jets. So those, and they can feel those G's.
Well, wait a minute. Rocket. What? Yeah, well, Rocket will tell you the difference between Mach and G-force, because they are two measures of two very different things.
Yeah, so...
Go on, Rocket. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, sorry. Mach 3 is just your speed in relation to the local speed of sound. So how many times your Mach 3 is 3 times the local speed of sound, or usually we just use the speed of sound at sea level because it does vary with air density, or with temperature. But anyway, when pilots can cruise at Mach 2, it's not an issue. That's why Concorde existed. Concorde did transatlantic flights at Mach 2 for, a couple hours. That's not what makes people unconscious. It's when you suddenly decide to take a left turn at Mach 2 is when people start passing out, and you start putting immense loads on your head in terms of either positive or negative G's because they're accelerating in a different direction, if that makes sense.
But here's another thing, Gary. I don't know whether you watch like Red Bull air racing.
I've seen a bit of it. Some of them crazy videos.
Yeah. So the power in those aircrafts is fucking phenomenal for a turboprop, and going around some of those turns, at some of those turns they're only doing 200 miles an hour. But I guarantee you, if they didn't tense every muscle in their being, they would pass out. They absolutely would. They're a special breed of people that can pull a turn like that. But they're only going 200 miles an hour. So it's not the speed. It's the acceleration caused by the speed and the radius of the arc. If you've got a very short radius and a moderate speed, but your radius is incredibly sharp, then that's a lot of G's. You're going to pass out. Whereas, like Rocket said, you can cruise at Mach 2, and even at Mach 2, you can do a turn and change direction in Concorde, and everybody's just fine. It's about the acceleration that's caused based on the radius and the velocity.
I'd heard this. I was going to ask the Rocket guy this actually, because I don't know. I'd heard that at certain speeds, say if you're going over Mach 2 or maybe Mach 2.5 to 3, if you really do a super turn where you're trying to deviate quite quickly, some craft or some things can't handle that, they would break up. Is there any truth to that at all?
Yeah, so what I actually do as part of my degree, there's a thing in terms of all aircraft design, no matter what aircraft it is or anything, in every single aircraft they have their own specific flight envelope, And if I managed to get my camera working, I'd be able to show you it. But what it is essentially is a diagram with speed on the x-axis and load factor on the y-axis in terms of g's, like g-force. And what it is a profile of the turning radius that an aircraft can handle at a specific speed. So there are entire profiles built around what aircraft structures can take at certain speeds and what their turning radius are at certain speeds. Like, there is a whole study of aircraft design just around that premise.
Amazing. Thank you for that, because I hadn't spoken to someone that's studied it like you have, but someone mentioned in a video and I was like, I wonder if that's true, and you've just put that envelope. Thank you very much for that.
Just quickly to Sting, I don't know what's happening with the being able to show my camera. I don't know if I need 1,000 followers instead of 500, but it says I need live access still.
Basically,
oh yeah, you will. Yeah, you'll need 1,000. Can everybody follow Rocket if you don't already? Because his as annoying as he is, it's actually quite all right.
I had one left. I was going to give it to Rosie, but I'll try and delete someone else.
Oh God! Yeah, no, wait a minute. So Gary here somehow follows 10,000 people, and in case anybody's wondering, 10,000 is the fucking limit of people that you can follow. So to follow anybody else has got to delete one of these 10,000.
I saw this lady, like, Lady Erotic. I was like, okay, you can go then. I'll go and follow Steve. So
I guarantee if you go through that list and you concentrate on it properly, you'll probably be able to get rid of at least half of those people.
No, you're right. But what it is like, when I was like, you get a bit sucked in, you're going along, and someone will be like, hey, this pineapple, and it makes me feel like, oh, I like that, and I'll just, start following and adding to people that are just crazy, or it'll be funny videos or GIFs, and I'll be like, oh, okay, and that's generally how. And Rosie was saying, she was like, you must have been like wearing your finger out, like adding people, but it's true. Like,
however, I would say try not to get rid of Rosie, because at some point she will break out her Rick Astley impression, and that is gold.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Yeah.
Come on, Rose. Never gonna
We'll do it here now.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Yeah, you know Gary's a singer, though, right? That's.
Well, me too.
You a singer as well, Rose?
Yeah, I do. I release music as well.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, I've just started a new band with some friends. We did our first gig here at Stingray. Saw video the other day, but singing is amazing. It's nice that people really enjoy it. That's for sure. So I've got to read the impression now.
Sorry, Rosie.
If okay, I don't want to invade. So I don't know if Stingray would want me to do it on this specific.
It's honestly, all of these impressions to me, since I can't do any fucking impressions whatsoever because I'm from Yorkshire, are cringe to me. But go ahead anyway, Rosie.
Okay. That's the drum.
Oh, we're no strangers to love.
She did it perfect. I tell you what, we was sitting there listening, going, "Oh my God!"
Oh, she's doing it.
That's not.
Yeah. I like that.
Well done. See? And she kept quiet all that time, Stingray, and then boom, a bit of Rick
Nice.
Wait till you hear my Frank Sinatra.
No. Rick's better than your Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra, you want to keep for being your flat Earth alter ego.
I will.
Brilliant.
Okay, so I'll follow Rose tonight, and then Rocket Man, I'm deleting someone who's talking about cocktails, and you are getting
Thank you very much. Praise indeed.
Wait a minute, Gary. Follow Looney as well. He's a fellow Brit, and he does lives as well, which are pretty chilled. When he doesn't have unchilled people on there, they're very chilled.
I try to keep it as chilled as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, I will find you guys and I will give you a follow for Shizzle.
Cool.
I've got to delete 2 pineapple people now, but I'll do that later.
I want to ask you a wee question, actually, if that's all right. So this is flat Earth related, right? I just want to ask you, how do you suppose, and I don't think I've ever asked this question before, how do you suppose that a flat Earth would be formed to begin with?
Oh, that's deep. 1 second.
Wait a minute. Gary, please let me answer this for you. It is about creation, and it is about a natural. Wait a minute, I'm channeling my inner Gary here. Wait a minute, and this is from watching you fucking singing. So wait a minute. So it's a force of creation. It might not necessarily be a god, but it is a purposeful thing. And I'm honestly, I've never heard you say anything or answer this question. I'm just trying to fucking guess what you would say based on how you've talked so far. Yeah, no, I'm lost now. That'd be my explanation for you.
I would say, Rosie, that like what the Stingray just said. Like, I believe in God. I believe something created. I don't think everything come from nothing. The rocket designer wasn't designed by nobody. And paintings, this chip, this phone, everything. So why would we be and the whole universe be not just by a random chance? I just don't believe that.
Well, is that, and with respect, is that coming from a place of A, I'm not sure, B, that makes me feel absolute dread to think that there was literally just nothing and I can't comprehend that. Was that a factor in it as well?
Wait a minute, Rocket, you got a bit of background noise like you're twatting around your mic. Even though your voice sounded really good and you must have got a new mic, I think you're just flicking it around your face at the moment.
Yeah, I'm just smushing it all around my face.
Yeah. It sounded that way. You know, like those. Wait a minute. I've not actually watched any of these, but I know what the term is now. You know those ASMR video bollocks that people do? Sounded a little bit like the start of one of them. I'm not going to lie.
I would say, Rose, when I was really young, I actually, and I'm talking 3 or 4, I don't know why, but I thought there would be nothing. And I was scared. I don't know why, but I was just scared of dying. I used to think about it a lot. I was like, there's going to be nothing. I'm going to close my eyes. I don't know why I thought like that, but I did. But as I've got older, I just don't believe that now. I just belief is a weird word, isn't it? Because I can't prove to you. But I just think there's definitely something afterwards, and I think that something, this whole where we are was created. I didn't used to think that, but I do now.
Well, so when you say created, do you mean like by a higher force or God or whatever you want to call it?
I would say, it says in the Bible that God said, "Let there be light." But when I was at science in school, the teacher said to me, I was like 14, 15, he said, "We're all vibrating. All the atoms are vibrating. They're all empty." And you think an atoms are, there's things, but they're all hollow and there's nothing really in them. And that was when obviously we was at school science. But so I think when I was into Buddhism quite a lot, about 10 years ago, and that's what they talked about, that we're a vibration of energy. Everything's a vibration. And I think that's something like the creation maybe from God's mind as how we've been created, that force has created everything, that a sound or I can't describe it, like a thought, but of everything. That's how, I know it might sound a bit weird, but it's
fine. It's your perspective, so I'm not gonna cool, by the way. With regards to this conversation also, let's take it back about roughly 13.8 billion years, right?
I was going to talk about this, Rose, but I don't want to over-talk you, but I was thinking about talking about this with Stingray earlier, but you're here, so go on, talk about this. Go on, 13 billion years.
So what do you suppose happened all that time ago?
Right, okay, now this is deep now. So if you've got the doobies rolling out, you've got a doobie on the go, this might blow your mind. I don't know if we've been around that long. I'm a Christian, you see, so
no, I'm not talking about the earth, I'm talking about the universe, the birth of the universe.
No, the universe in general, like everything. I don't know, because obviously with the Big Bang and how it expands, I was going to speak to Stingray about this actually. There's the theory of, I've forgotten what it's called now, you probably know, but we're like the center, and a lot of the, what is it, geocentrism? Is that what it is? Where we're meant to be the center and everything's exploded away from us. And a lot of scientists were backing that up when it went that it was backing up the flat earth theory, like Michio Kaku and a few of the other scientists. Then they realized and went, no, and they poo-pooed it after they'd done this film about it. After a while, they all sort of backtracked, but saying that the cosmic radiation and everything's come out from where we are now. We are like a central point.
Okay, but why do you think? Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to, before I forgot. Why do you think they changed their mind? Why do you think that is? Is that because they found new information that disproved it, or was it because they just felt like it?
I think it was because this is only my opinion, but the film only came out about 7-8 years ago. It's like a geocentric thing. It's on YouTube. You can find it of all of them talking about it. But I think because it exploded, it sort of backed up the flat Earth theory. I think that's why they poo-pooed it. And I'm guessing. I don't know that's for definite. They never said that. They never said that's their statement and that's why. But it's sort of, this has exploded, this thing, while we're all talking about it now. And I think they just thought, hang on a minute, it's like the famous guy who was in the English scientist that's on the shows all the time. I've forgotten his name now.
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox.
It's Brian Cox. Thank you very much, Stingray.
The stars in the sky.
Oh, God. Who did that? Who was that?
Quite good.
All the stars in the sky.
Oh my God, that was you, Rosa. That was pretty cool.
It's like, Rosa's got it all.
And the thing is,
oh my God, that's awesome.
That was actually really good.
Yeah, the thing is, fucking hell, yeah, it's good at saying that, isn't it? The thing is, wait, Garrett. I was just going to add something there, because your entire premise is, it's the argument for intelligent design, right? So it's the complexity that exists around us, and and all I would say is be wary of confirmation bias. And by that I mean you can look at a human eye and think, "Hey, this is amazing. It must be intelligent design." You can look at human beings in general and say, "My God, we're amazing. This must be intelligent design." But you can't. You look at us and you realize that inherently, I think proportionality of this is like 90%. 90% of people will develop cancer. It's that simple. The reason cancer rates have gone up so long is because life expectancy increased, which means the probability of cancer occurring in each individual now is incredibly higher, but it always existed at a very high rate for anybody that would reach it to 100 anyway, because it's there. It will be a thing in your life. Your appendix, utterly fucking useless. It's just an utterly useless thing. You go through things in human anatomy and you think, yeah, this is really bad fucking design, right? It's just terrible fucking design.
Didn't they find out a little while ago that the appendix actually produces an enzyme? Didn't they find that out a little while ago?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was a thing that came out a little while ago that they found out that the appendix is not totally useless after all, and it actually produces some sort of gut enzyme that helps out with sort of the gut biome, as it were. But
well, wait a minute. You're going to make me say something that I really don't want to say, but I will anyway.
Yeah.
So a biological trait of having reproductive genitalia next to excretion areas is utterly fucking ridiculous, right?
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So from a design perspective, we are a terrible fucking design. Our muscle mass compared to a chimpanzee is fucking ridiculously weak and horrible. A chimp 1/3 of our size will tear us limb from limb quite easily. Our reaction time, speed, everything. It's just terrible. We're badly designed. And to say that we're fantastical because of these singular things that seem fantastical, like a human eye. You can look right now and you can see biological steps to get to the complexities of a working functional retina and lens system in an eye. Throughout animals that exist today, right now. Now, there's worms with single light receptor cells because they need that. There's fish with the same. There's fish with small pits, which those light receptors sit in. There's fish. There's marine life that has those pits in cavernous areas so that now it's directional, and they have muscles whereby they can sometimes move it slightly directional. Then there's some creatures that now have a protective film over that, so that it's less, so that there's a less chance of it being damaged or anything like that, because the light recepting cells are quite thin. And you can look at all of this going all the way up to a human eye, and that's just with today's biological samples. So to say that a human eye is designed is like, no, our biology is exactly as would be predicted by means of natural selection over millions of years. And
to add to you, Stingray, as well, I think it possibly, maybe, might come from a place of, I don't know if narcissism is the right word, but like,
I wouldn't say. I don't know what happened. She dropped.
But it's like that little having your food pipe right next to your windpipe. And the fact that it's so
that's awesome, right? Yeah.
Just to swallow a bit of food or some water and it goes down into your lungs. It's like, what a stupid fucking design that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you something else as well. Just developing random fucking allergies to things. That's nearly brought my life to a fucking end. That has, and we still don't know what it is. And it's like, this is utterly ridiculous. So Gary, when you say, the problem is you have to look at, when I say confirmation bias, I think you have to look at both sides of it. But you need to do it without wanting one to be true. You just need to look at it incredibly agnostically and just say, and step back and say, okay, so what would happen if everything, and you said chance, right? That's a very weird thing. Chance is not what natural evolution by means of natural selection and traits is. It's anything but chance, right? It's evolutionary traits or genetic anomalies that create traits that are advantageous to the environment. That you can put down to that genetic trait being a chance. Maybe, yes, 100%. But its application in the real environment of being a benefit or not is not a chance. It's an absolute. Is this of benefit? Yes or no? Great, die. And great, live. No, die. And there's a brilliant study done by a research team, an Italian research team on a Croatian island, and they took the Italian wall lizard to a Croatian island where that species didn't exist, and they introduced it and then studied it. This study started in the 70s and ended in 2016, I believe. Now this was fucking fantastic, and it shows you that no creator bollocks is needed, right? So this lizard predominantly ate insects on walls, because that's where it used to run up and down is walls, and its entire diet was based off fleshy, proteiny insects. Now, when it got to this island, there were different insects that weren't and less walls, and there started being shortages of food for the species that they introduced. They still bred and things like that, but life was incredibly hard for them. Now, what scientists wanted to do is they wanted to study what evolutionary, what starts of evolutionary traits they might get an inkling of over the decades that they were going to study this. They never envisaged what they actually got. So from the start of the study, loads of them died. Few of them got together, bred, loads died, bred, loads died. Now, they dissected them throughout all of this. Now, what they found was utterly remarkable, and the study's now finished. Anybody can go and read it. At the end of this study, in 2016, 2017, I believe it was, that species now is nowhere near the same as the Italian wall lizard. It didn't interbreed with anything else. It is a complete. If you were to class it today, it would be a different species. So they discovered speciation in it, and the differences were as fucking follows, which was fucking amazing. It had new teeth structures. The jaw was significantly, I think it was something like 20 to 30% wider. It had learnt to digest plant food. It developed a gland in its gut that secretes something for it to be able to digest plant food. All of these biological traits, all within the fucking gap of 40 years. So what the scientists originally wanted to study was the start of this. Not one of them ever thought that they would see these huge traits come out by means of natural selection in decades. They thought that would take hundreds or tens of thousands of years, and it didn't. It came out in decades. They had a new species at the end of it because of the environment, which was fucking fascinating.
Well, how long did that take to
40 from 1970s to 2016, I believe. So 40 odd years, nearly 50 years. Call it 50 years. But they didn't set out thinking, hey, we're going to get a new species or we're going to see vast changes. They thought more like things like, well, we might see a few traits, a few genetic traits, like they might have longer, grappling claws and things like that. And we might see new types of what you call gene expression for the environment, whereby traits that are inherently there already get more developed within an individual sample's life cycle. They never thought we're going to see natural selection here over the course of fucking decades that we think should have taken tens of thousands of years, if not hundreds of thousands of years. And they fucking saw it. And this is published. And everybody just sat back and thought, this is fucking amazing. Now, that simple thing there, if that can happen in 40 years, like Rosie said, let's take the Earth cycle of a few billion years. What can evolve in a few billion years if you can have a new digestive system, new facial structure, new bone structure, and new fucking teeth in 40? And that 40 is like, think about it, it's like 20, 30 generations. That's it. 20 or 30 generations to get a new species. It's fucking phenomenal.
I mean, Stingray got new teeth in a few weeks, so I mean...
Oh, Jesus, give up. Yeah, don't. You know, teeth isn't my strong point. You know that, Rosa.
Also, Sting, stop hogging the big screen. Put Rosie up on the big screen. She's trying to show something.
Oh, shit.
Don't be a rude guest.
I don't.
Be a rude host now. Come on.
It's not like it's your live or anything, you know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show you something very interesting, Gary, which I think might be worth some research.
Sorry, Rosie, really quickly. Rocket, can't you do that?
I cannot do that. No, it says I still need...
No. I mean, couldn't you put Rosie to the big screen?
I don't think
I
so,
can't,
no.
even though I've got mod powers.
Yeah, that's... fuck you all. I don't know why this is the case. So, Rosie, Looney, and Gary... Rocket, Looney, and Rosie, you should have mod powers, and you should be able to expand.
I've got a mod status. I can mute and block people, but I can't interact with any of the sort of like guesty type stuff.
I can bring people up, but I can't put them on big screen.
Oh, I'm getting sick of trying to work out what the fuck's going on with this. Anyway, Rosie, continue.
Well, I just wanted to show Gary the different eras of the expansion and beginning of the universe, and we begin at the Planck era. So I think a lot of people misconstrue, I think is the word, like what actually happened. Like a lot of people think, oh, it exploded and then all of a sudden there was galaxies. No, it began as a very hot and dense place, very hot place, and eventually expanded into the era of galaxies, which is, well, present day really. But it took a very, very long time, like nearly 14 million years to get to that point. I just thought you may find it interesting to have a look without confirmation bias and just try and see what you find, because you might find it's very, very interesting. I mean, I've spent too long researching this. It's very cool, and I think you might find it interesting. So if you have a min, well, maybe a bit more than a minute. It takes a while, but have a look into it because it might help you understand. And like, it is difficult to conceptualize nothing. I completely get that.
Come on, let's have a little doobie smoke now. What was before the Big Bang?
Well, that's the big question mark.
What was the thing that...
there are hypotheses, none of which have been like substantiated at all. Because it's difficult to know. We can only see as far back as the CMBR, which is the cosmic microwave background radiation. That's as far as we can see. We can't see before that, which is a shame, because we don't know what we might find if we could see beyond that. But yeah, it's a big question mark. We don't really know. That's my honest answer. We don't really know.
And Gary, that's very important. You can't start out with an assertion, and you can't assign agency to something where there's no evidence for it. The honest thing is, we don't know.
No, and I love that, and that's the truth. We just don't. We do. None of us. I mean, we had a physicist come in our church the other day, and he was talking, and as I said to Stingray, and he was like, "We don't know these certain things. We know that we're moving at an exceptional rate every second, 75 miles a second. That everything's moving away from each other, but how it was formed at the beginning and what was before that, he said, we just don't know." So.
The way you've got to kind of look at it, though, Gary, is that if you do you play golf at all, or have you seen golf being played?
I when I was on a PlayStation 2 when I was about 15, I might have played a bit of golf. But
right, okay, so generally, what science is kind of like when they're on the putting green and they've got like a couple of players that have obviously pitched onto the green. If they got their ball where they wanted, what they do is they kind of go along and they pick up the ball and they put like a little coin down to sort of show them where their ball was. That's kind of what this kind of science does. They sort of think about it for a bit. They come to some conclusions or some sort of theories, and then what they do is they put a coin there and walk away from it. And then they might be sort of in something else and sort of investigating something else.
Yeah, I've seen that where they put that down.
And then what will happen is they'll come back and they'll sort of revisit it, sort of years later, and then they might sort of get something more out of it. It's a constant evolving thing. So they, not all science is like fact. They always revisit it to make sure that they can sort of make, they might be able to expand on something and make it better.
The thing is like, I know as we've evolved and along, like in science, we've worked out gaps between the things. They would say the God things. We would say, oh, maybe God did that. And then we'll find the thing or reason why these things actually happened and stuff, I watched a really good debate with two scientists. One was a Christian, one was not a Christian. One was at a university in England, and the Christian guy was an American guy. And he was just explaining about a cell, right? He was just explaining about a cell, and he was saying how they was having a little like debate with each other, and the Christian guy was saying like, one cell is so complex and it has so many things in it with branched chain amino acids and all the things inside. And he was saying that we have got no clue how to start life, make life, even the proteins that are in it. We couldn't do nothing. We can't do nothing. He goes, we're telling everyone we're quite superior and we know things and we're really good, but it's actually rubbish and we know literally nothing. And the scientist who wasn't a Christian just was like, well, yeah, okay. He was like, why are you saying these things? He went, because I'm just trying to be honest that we virtually know nothing. We can't do it. We can't synthesize any life. We can't create life. We can't even make, and any time we try to do that, it just dies in the oxidization and getting, as they're trying to make these things together at a cellular level, it just dies and doesn't,
well,
we can't do anything. So
1,000,000% true. I think that
it was only a debate, Rosie, so I'm not totally
no, I know.
Sorry.
I'm just adding to the discussion there.
Wait a minute. Just I've got to show this. Oh, by the way, this is a little bamboo A1 mini printer. Thank you to 3 Dom Sculpts for allowing me to get this. Yeah, well, this is the bigger printer behind it. That's got a wait a minute. Oh, let's just turn that a little bit. That's the bigger printer that's got an enclosed thing. But now, what I was going to say, there's just a public service announcement. Never get them. Just don't get them. They're really bad. Don't get them. Do not get these. Sorry, Rosie.
I can't even handle a kitchen pizza.
Yeah, no. Yeah. These are not good. These are so not good.
I thought you Northerners were meant to have pallets of steel.
Yes, some of us do.
Oh, right. So you're saying Stingray is just a pansy then? Right,
anyway. Sorry, Rosie. Carry on.
No, you're fine. So I'm gonna have to get some sources on this to validate this, which I will do in a sec. I'm sure that there is a way for us to create the environments, replicate the environments where life first began. And I know that if you put a single-celled organism like in the same environment as like a, I don't know, like a, you might say like call it like a predator, it can evolve into more than just a single-celled organism. So there is ways. I'm going to have to get some sources on that, so don't at me just yet, but I think there is a way that we could do that.
I'll try and send you the video of the debate. It'll take me ages to find it, but I'll try and send you the two scientists to show you the thing eventually. I've followed you now, Rosie, and I followed the other two as well, but it's going to say I've got 9,000 and these two ain't one, so I'm going to have to delete something. But I have followed you.
You've got a bank holiday coming up, Gary. You're gonna have to sit through on your bank holiday and spend your whole.
Wait a minute, Gary. I've got an idea. There must be a way. No, actually, no. That's a terrible idea. I was just gonna say, start another fucking account, because I think you've gone too far down a rabbit hole. If I'm being honest.
Your For You page must be so weird.
It does take a while, because I mean, I think at one point I was following like 3,500 to 4,000 people.
Jeez.
And I literally went through it and I whittled it down to like 800 at one point. So it takes time.
I'll look at someone, I'll be like, oh, Cyril, he's got to go. Then I'll click on his thing and I'll be like, hey, there's no aliens, dinosaur. And I like him, he's staying. You know,
No. Wait, no, do not upset my camera. Did you just say dinosaurs?
I did say that, yeah, I did say that. Sorry, there's not.
Gary, we've been getting on so well the past couple of conversations. I have had many special interests in my time, and dinosaurs has been one of them.
Let's just do some recasting, and we'll just forget about that conversation, okay?
Okay, right. We'll save that one for another day.
Save that one for another day. But yeah, no, it's really good though to have. I crave good conversations, so that's what I was saying to Stingray yesterday.
How are you doing here, man?
What's that?
I said, what the hell are you doing here?
No, it's good. It's like what Stingray said though. It is true that once you get about 6 or 7 people on a live, they don't know each other. They want to chip in, and it gets.
Wait a minute.
Definitely existed, Gary. We were getting along just fine. Gary, dinosaurs definitely existed. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Fermi paradox, but it might be something that you're interested in.
Anyway, no. I think definitely at some point, Gary, you're going to have to come back on with Rosie, and you can only speak by song to each other by asking questions and stuff. That would be a challenge.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, bless you.
But anyway, just 2 seconds. Reed, you... I just want to say this. I want to say this to a lot of people, actually. I don't often read the chat. I don't read my messages. I apologize for that, but I'm more taken up into why is my mouth on fire with these Pringles, and normally with other shit that I'm doing as well, which is also why I don't see like Rosie presenting something and I have to click on the thing. And I hate that I can't mod people to be able to do that shit for me, which is annoying. But anyway, Reed, that's why I did read your message. But like Gary said, I don't like loads of people up and then loads of different things and emotions and stuff like that. I'm not about that. But you said you had some questions, Reed.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a couple conversations back, but because I heard y'all talking about light measurements and y'all talking about the moon, and then basically, well, I basically wanted to tug at y'all's brain a little bit. All right.
Yeah.
As far as all right, y'all, you understand how shadows work, correct?
Yeah.
Right, all right. What can y'all, like, just based off your personal experience or how y'all understand it to be, tell me what is supposed to be happening to, like this total eclipse we're about to have, or lunar eclipse. What exactly happens, and what is why is there a shadow that casts onto the Earth?
So there's different types of eclipses. So let's establish that first.
The total eclipse we're about to have, like on the 8th, and the one we had.
Yeah. So if you're talking about a total eclipse, I've only ever seen one in my life. Amazing sight, by the way. Basically, it's where here is the Earth, here is the moon, here is the sun. Obviously, many, many millions of miles away. So the moon in orbit passes through in between, and it obscures the view of the sun. So let's pretend my face is the sun, and my hand is the moon, and my phone is the Earth. So from that perspective, the moon passes over. This is obviously a lot quicker than it would be.
Yeah.
Just like
so
that.
The moon passes in between the sun and the Earth.
Yeah. If that explanation is helpful.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, that leads to this. All right, and to my understanding, the totality area was a radius of what, 70 miles that it shined on the parts of United States or whatever that it shined on.
Yeah,
right?
it will be. It'll be about 65 miles, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Per science or per school or however we were taught, how, other than drawing it out to the shit that we see normally, like they do the sun and the moon and it's showing the damn shadow. How is that actually possible when an object cannot cast a shadow smaller than itself?
Okay. I will show you that right now, because an object can cast a shadow smaller than itself. It depends on the size. Well, the size and distance of the object is incredibly important.
Stingray, just quickly, I'm going to drop because I need some sleep, so I'll see all you guys later. Thanks very much for having me up. And,
Cool.
Catch you in a bit, Lou.
All right, take it easy. Yeah, don't forget, Gary, delete someone and follow Lenny.
I'll definitely will.
I'll send you the link to his profile anyway in a second. Once I've done with this. So yeah, I'm just trying to find. Here we go. Shadow. There we go. Oh, right. Okay. So this is a good explanation of it. Actually, it's a diagrammatical one, but I'll actually show you a light simulation in a second. But this is a diagrammatical one. So we've got a light source here, and that light source has a physical size, right? Now that physical size allows something to take place on this object that it's casting onto this surface. So the black here is totality, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, if I made this larger than this object, the totality will decrease. So let's say I were to get a ball, and it doesn't have to be a ball. In fact, I'll just make it a cube, for instance. So if I were to take a cube and make it this big, right, that's now my light source. Well, guess what? This shadow now decreases massively, because if we look at the amount of light that can, wait a minute, let's do this. If we look at the amount of light that can travel now from this point here, we see that, well, actually, it can make it to this area on the ground, which means this shadow now needs to decrease because the light source is bigger. Sorry?
Wouldn't the light have to curve around the object to make the shadow?
No. Wait a minute. Let me just set this file up. I've not set this up properly yet. So let me just do this and say X-ray and do that, and then come back over here and do that, because Blender is shit. So now let's trace the light from this. So we know that light can come from here, but we now know that the light can be all the way here and is out here like so. Now, this gray area, I'm only going to do one side of it. We'll leave the other side like it was the previous size. Now, what we need to do to line up this shadow is line it up with this point here. So from here, oh, that wasn't the shadow. From here, we need to line it up so that it's touching the object, and that's like so. And then I can move this back down to this edge. So now this light isn't bending at all. What we're getting is, this is called the umbra and penumbra. So we've got totality, and then we've got a fade off from totality all the way to, and this is soft, all the way to light. And it's because of the size of the light. Now, if that doesn't make sense, I'll show it in another example, which is better. Give me a second. I've got a named Digital sundial, no. Oh my god, I need names for these. Oh, wait a minute. Eclipse shadows, maybe? No. What? I don't know what I'd have called this damn thing. Inertia, Mount Rainier. Oh, yeah, Mount Rainier. That's a good one. Sundial, sun, moon. I think I might just have to recreate it in a second. Oh, wait a minute. Light, 0.5 degrees. Yep, that's the fucker. Right, okay. So this is what you call a brute force ray tracer, right? So this is a light simulator, basically. What it allows me to do is do this, and I've just created a light simulation, right? That's why it's a bit grainy when I move it around, because it's actually doing light simulation. So if I move it in and out, you can see the grain, but then if I leave it a little bit, it'll fill in that grain. It's just doing light simulation. Now, this simulates the sun at the moment. This is a light source. It's directional. It's coming down. Now, the important thing here is the size of the sun in the sky intersects the edge, and then the size is responsible for this shadow fall off from where the shadow is only just visible to the point where it's totality, right? So the size of the sun in relation to the size of the shadow casting object is what the relationship is here. So if I move this just off here so we can see it a little bit better on the ground, if I make the sun larger, you see what happens to totality? It gets smaller. I make the sun larger. Totality now is like this tiny little dot. If I make the sun incredibly small, totality is the exact size of the object, given whatever angle it is, but this will be the exact size of this object. But because the sun has a size to it, we get soft shadows and totality decreases based on that. Now, in relation to the moon, the sun is 0.5, oh God, wait a minute, 0.54 something degrees, which means from this edge, we get 0.5 degrees to play with till it hits a surface. And that's going to spread out. But it's only 0.5 degrees. And it's going to spread out, and it's going to create a much smaller shadow of an object. And it's purely because of the size of the sun in the sky itself. Now, really interesting though, Reed, is it's objectively real, right? It's objectively real that totality is going to be, let's say, 70 miles wide, like you said. That's not possible on a flat Earth. Because if you think about it, for an object to cast a consistent shadow of a consistent size, then 3 components need to be true. And this is over time, right? Because it's going to move from Texas all the way up to like the East Coast, isn't it? For that to occur and for that shadow not to change size, flat Earth has to be false, because for that to occur, the distance from the sun to the moon needs to change insignificantly, yeah, fractionally. So a 0.001% change during that time. And the moon, and because it's casting the shadow in relation to the Earth, and the distance of that needs to change such an infinitesimally small fraction, 0.00001, to maintain the relationship of the size of the shadow on that surface. Now, what I did on a flat Earth was quite cool. I thought, well, on a flat Earth, what would the sun have to do, and with the moon, to go from Texas all the way over to the East Coast on a flat Earth and cast a consistent shadow? Let me move this observer out of the way. And to cast a consistent shadow. And the answer is, I have to move the moon to maintain that constant shadow. But the way that I have to move the moon is suddenly, hey, I'm going to have to bring it over the continental United States and decrease its altitude to maintain the width of the shadow. Now, I'm failing here in the length of the shadow, but that's unavoidable because these two objects are not bound together. The distance between the shadow, the object, and the light source on a flat Earth is not consistent. There's no way for it to be. So I'm going to have to deal with this being this shape. But in order for me to maintain the width of it on the 8th and take the path that the solar eclipse is going to take, I have to do this with the moon. Now, the brilliant thing about this is I know I have to do this with the moon because objectively, the sun is just past the equinox, which we can independently verify that at solar noon, it's going to be just above north of this red line here, which is the equator. So we know where the sun's going to be. No amount of altitude changes this. The moon has to move inland over the continental United States in order to maintain a 60-mile wide shadow. Just so you know.
Understood. I mean, the way you explain it, like it explains how it works better. It doesn't really, I guess, lean towards whether the Earth is round or flat, as far as what I was asking. But my thing is, it would, I guess, that, again, it would just have to be set up perfectly to where one, it could be even measurable. You know what I'm saying? As far as
Have you seen my? Do you believe the Earth is flat? Then, or are you just not sure?
What I'm not sure is, like, I would like to believe that it's not flat, but like to question what I've been taught in school and like to as far as what I experience, I can't really say I experience what I'm taught in science.
So Reed, can I ask you a wee question?
It's read though. It's like you read a book.
Oh, sorry, read. You maybe not read as many. So Shakespeare, right? You were taught Shakespeare in school, I imagine, or probably of Mice and Men or something.
I read Mice and Men.
What, like, let's say in English, for example, are you gonna go back and doubt the person that's written that just for the shits and giggles?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm questioning or like not believing. I'm just like, far as how things work and how I perceive it. I just like simple fact with the shadow. Like my understanding is, unless an object is super close to the light source, which was
no. So we here are ignoring scale and distance. So how far away is the sun?
Billions of miles away, far as I know.
93 million.
Well, millions, yes.
So what happens when you have an object that's very far away and an object that's a little bit closer?
To what?
To us.
Yeah, so she's on about the shadow, basically, and the relational size of the objects.
So let's say, for example, and I don't know if you can see it very well, I am going to flip my Wii camera. So over there...
wait a minute. I have to do work with this when I have to click buttons and stuff. Jesus Christ. I know, right?
Hold on. Oh, no, I can't turn my camera. Oh, yeah, now I can. There we go. Okay, right, save. Ignore the mess. So over there is a globe next to my swanky telescope. There is a globe.
Yep.
Here is a moon.
Yep.
So let's pretend for a second that that's 93 million miles away, correct? So... Oh, look, it's obscured.
Uh-huh.
Oh, look.
Okay, what is your point on that?
Yeah, it's on about the size of the shadow, Rosa, though.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying what I was getting at is with the distance that we're told as far as what the moon is from the sun, for us to see a totality or a, like you said, a constant size of shadow, of course, I mean, it's not obviously not the perfect circle or whatever that we can actually see. Like, how is it with the moon being big as it is and the sun being far away as it is, how's the shadow only 70 miles with it not supposed to be that close to?
Yeah, I got you. Right, so on this, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do because this isn't about that. I'm going to turn this into a solar eclipse predictor, which is a bit pointless because this is actually, believe it or not, even though This is to scale this model that I've got right now. So if I go and say that the rotation of this thing is, 90, that means you're going to plant a shadow here somewhere, hopefully. Let's have a look. Let's just zoom out and turn ray tracing on. Right, there we go. Right, okay. So there is a totality on this ball now, right? Albeit it's in Africa. This isn't an accurate thing. This is demonstrating a principle. So there's a very tiny part of totality there. Now, when I move the camera, because this is a brute force ray tracer, we're going to see the actual physical projected size if the sun was a point and not as big as it was. So I'm going to move the camera. Can you see that black that appears? Yeah. That would be if the sun was a very small point at the distance that it is. Like, like the sun is 1 centimeter across. It would cast this shadow on the Earth. Now, what the ray tracer does to actually simulate this is or in this real-time system, is it moves that point light source the diameter of what the sun actually is at the distance it is. So at 93 million miles, an ungodly, diameter, it moves around. And it makes the shadow very soft, but we still have that very tiny totality there in the middle. And that's from this. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go have a look at it. That is actually from this, which is the moon is casting that shadow on that very distant Earth that's over there from that very far away. Oh, wait a minute. Where are we? From that very far away sun. So we've got that very far away sun casting off this object onto this sphere here. And I don't know how I got upside down, balls to that, but there we go. A very small place in Africa gets totality, which is there.
Right.
And a soft shadow all the way around.
That's making the shadow larger, though, correct?
Oh, yeah, no, the shadow will be larger.
My it is like, how do you make how do you make the shadow smaller?
No, no. The shadow is not smaller. So first of all, let's define what shadow is. Let's say that shadow is any small lack of light due to another object, right? That's what shadow is. So the shadow on the Earth is certainly not smaller than the supposed moon's diameter. It is not. It's just that it's incredibly soft. So this shadow of the moon starts, let's say in, is this Morocco? It starts, well, actually, we see where it starts. Yeah, it starts also almost at the Straits of Gibraltar, just near Spain. That's actually what we consider shadow. But it's so soft because of the size of the sun. The only part that the size of the sun doesn't affect is the bit of totality because of the distance. And that previous diagram that I showed you just showed that the size of the sun can't actually reach the total area of the casting thing. But, if the sun was twice as big, there would be no totality. Because the sun is exactly the size that it is at the distance that it is, there is a 60 or 70 mile wide totality. But the actual shadow, what I would class as shadow, is that big. It's just that the totality, it fades so gradually to where totality is. And a good way, a good way to look at this, actually, I did because everybody's going to look the wrong way in the eclipse, by the way, just so you know. Wait a minute, where are we? Eclipse shadows. Because what's going to happen? This is another way to understand it. In the eclipse, this is what we have. So I've got a building. I've got some trees, right? Now this is being cast from the sun. Now what we have here is, because the sun is casting shadows and the sun's angular size is 0.5 degrees. From the top of these trees, light light, the umbra and penumbra, in other words, the division between light and shadow, starts spreading out. So it's the same reason why if I was to move, in fact, I'll do it for you here, but you'll be able to do you'll be able to do this with any light source, by the way. So if I was to create an object very close to this, like a nice little plane, so that we can use it to catch this shadow. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this very close up to this tree, and we'll have a look at the shadow. Can you see how crisp that shadow is? That's because the angular size on these cones of the light that's casting it only diverges at 0.5 degrees. And that 0.5 degrees doesn't spread out a lot till it hits this sheet that I've just put here. However, if we move this sheet out the way and we look at the very same shadow of those very same cones over here, we can see that actually this is diffused. This is very soft. I can't see definition anymore, right? Now I agree with all that. Yeah. Now that's because of the size of the sun. Now here's the thing: I can make the sun bigger and smaller, and I can simulate an eclipse here. And if we have a look, what's going to happen in the eclipse? The size of that casting light is going to get smaller and smaller, and smaller and smaller because it's going to be obscured. Smaller and smaller. It's going to get dimmer, but just before we get totality, because the size of the light has decreased dramatically, this shadow now is incredibly crisp. You can now see those cones again, and it's going to be fantastic. It really is. If you look at shadows just before totality, you'll see shadows from trees and buildings that just look surreal because they're going to be crisp when normally they're very diffused. But that's the same premise as why the moon casts a smaller totality, but still a larger shadow than itself. It casts a larger shadow. It's just that it's very, very blurry. And you're looking at this blur. You're only talking about the very small totality of it, not the whole shadow.
All right, I'll take that.
Yeah, look at my tree. I can put snow on this tree as well if I want. How cool is that? But anyway, I like my trees. There's a plug-in that I got. Oh, and there's proper like little branches and cones and shit in this. But anyway, oh yeah, this even.
For you then, since I don't know shit about light. At what point does the wind and the atmosphere separate?
The wind and the atmosphere? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. The wind and the atmosphere separate.
Yeah. Do you
I think it means from like the vacuum of space to where there's nothing like surrounding the Earth, and why?
Oh right. Okay. Yeah. I get you now. So we measure. So we measure density of the atmosphere, and density is quite simply stuff per unit volume, and all that means is define a cubic meter and measure the amount of stuff in it. Now, what's brilliant is in the atmosphere we have particles that are flying around because it's a fluid, and they impart force, right? And the more particles, the more force. The less particles, the less force. Brilliant. Well, the less molecules and stuff, more force. Sorry, the other way around. You get what I'm saying. Now, the thing about this is when we go up, that decreases because there's less stuff. So we have 14.7 psi on the surface of the ground. Doesn't matter whether it's flat or a globe at this point. And then that decreases. You start decreasing pressure because there's less stuff. Now, that's not a stepped thing. It's not like you go up 20 foot and then suddenly it goes from 14.7 to 14.6. Yeah, in like a singular little step, a single division. That's graduated. So if you go to the top of Everest, what you can be at, I don't know, I'm guessing like 12 psi. And if you go up in one of the high altitude balloons, you can get to 6 psi, and then the very high altitude weather balloons can get to like 0.005 psi. But those high altitude balloons that go up, there's no divisions there. It's just gradual. So if your question is, at what point does that graduation run out? It doesn't. It goes from 14.7 here on the surface all the way up to measurably, very important that, measurably zero, but not zero, all the way out into infinite space. But it's a gradual thing. There's no division. There's no there's no division line. When people say, what is the Kármán line? That's not a pressure band where there's this division. That's just where the parts per unit volume are at a certain density that we call it space. And I think it's I think we call space where aeronautics doesn't fucking work anymore. Power, flight via aeronautics doesn't work. You can't generate lift from an airframe.
I mean,
I'll go on, Rocket.
I was just going to say, to put it in perspective, there is a larger pressure difference between the summit of Mount Everest and sea level than the summit of Mount Everest in space. So when you're at the summit of Mount Everest, you are closer to the ambient pressure